Fear. It's the invisible chain that keeps so many of us from stepping into our full potential. It whispers doubts, paralyzes actions, and casts shadows over the bright possibilities of our lives. Think about all the moments when fear has dictated your choices. Maybe you've held back from expressing yourself fully, afraid of what others might think. Perhaps there were dreams you longed to chase but didn't, because the fear of failure felt too overwhelming. The truth is, fear has a way of shrinking our world, making the vast expanse of possibilities seem small and out of reach. But fear is not an enemy you can defeat through sheer willpower or avoidance. It is deeply ingrained in our human nature. Fear is part of the survival mechanism that has kept us safe for centuries, warning us of dangers, both real and imagined. However, in the modern world, fear no longer protects us from predators in the wild. Instead, it creates barriers that exist in our minds, barriers that prevent us from reaching out for more, from taking risks, from living boldly. There are moments in life when fear doesn't just stop you from moving forward. It can make you retreat, pull back, and stay hidden. You might tell yourself, "I'll do it when I'm ready," or "maybe next time." But the truth is, there may never be a next time, and waiting for the perfect moment is just another way of feeding the fear. There is no perfect moment. There is only now, and fear will try its hardest to rob you of this moment. The longer you wait, the stronger fear's grip becomes. The question is, how much longer will you allow fear to hold you back? How many more opportunities will pass you by? How many more dreams will you let slip through your fingers because you didn't feel brave enough to take the leap? Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, knew this well. He understood that fear, while powerful, is not unbeatable. The teachings of Stoicism offer a path to breaking free from the chains of fear, helping you to reclaim the life you deserve. This isn't about pretending fear doesn't exist or trying to shut it out. It's about learning how to live alongside it, acknowledging it, but not letting it rule you. It's about understanding that while fear is a part of life, it doesn't have to control your actions, your thoughts, or your future. Fear often distorts reality. It makes situations appear more threatening than they really are, and it convinces you that you are less capable than you truly are. How many times have you overestimated the risk of a situation, only to find out later that the reality was far less intimidating? That conversation you dreaded, the presentation that kept you awake at night, or the decision you hesitated to make. How often did these turn out to be far less scary than your mind had imagined? This is the deceptive power of fear. It magnifies the unknown and convinces you that you're not ready, that you're not enough. But here's the truth. You are enough. You always have been. Fear just blinds you to that fact. It tricks you into playing small, into believing that staying safe in your comfort zone is the best option. But deep down, you know that nothing grows in comfort zones. Staying there only leads to stagnation, to a life that is far smaller than the one you are capable of living. What if today you decided that fear would no longer dictate your life? What if today you made a promise to yourself to step outside that shrinking comfort zone, to face fear head-on, and to take control of your path? Because here's the thing. Fear only has the power you give it. The more you feed it, by avoiding challenges, by saying no to opportunities, by staying quiet when you need to speak up, the stronger it becomes. But the moment you decide to face it, to push through the discomfort, fear starts to lose its grip. It's important to recognize that fear doesn't disappear overnight. It will always be there, lurking in the background, ready to make you second-guess your decisions. But here's the secret. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to act despite fear. Every time you choose to move forward, despite the shaking hands or the racing heart, you are building resilience. You are teaching yourself that fear doesn't have the final say. Think about the people who inspire you. Do you think they are fearless? Absolutely not. They have fears just like you. The difference is that they've learned not to let fear hold them hostage. They've learned to walk through the fear, to act in the face of uncertainty, and to trust that they will be able to handle whatever comes their way. And you can do the same. You can train yourself to see fear as a challenge, not as a wall that stops you in your tracks. You can learn to acknowledge fear without letting it paralyze you. Epictetus taught that the key to overcoming fear is not in trying to control the external world, but in mastering your internal world. You may not be able to change the challenges you face, the opinions of others, or the uncertainties of life, but you can change how you respond to them. You can train your mind to remain calm, to remain focused, and to remain free from the crippling effects of fear. There is immense power in realizing that most of what you fear is not rooted in reality. It's rooted in your perception of reality. And once you begin to shift that perception, once you begin to see fear for what it really is, a product of your own thoughts, you start to reclaim your power. You start to see that fear is just a shadow, one that grows or shrinks depending on the light you shine on it. This journey isn't easy. It will require patience, self-reflection, and a willingness to step into discomfort. But the rewards are greater than you can imagine. The freedom you'll feel when fear no longer controls you is indescribable. You'll start to take risks that you once avoided. You'll pursue dreams that once seemed out of reach, and you'll find a confidence in yourself that fear had hidden from you for so long. So, the question is, are you ready to face your fears and live a life of freedom? Are you ready to take the teachings of Epictetus and apply them to your own life, freeing yourself from the mental chains that have held you back for far too long? The choice is yours to make, but one thing is certain: freedom from fear is within your reach. All it takes is the decision to begin, to step forward, and to refuse to let fear hold you back any longer. The path is clear. Now is the time to walk it. Let's now explore these lessons from Epictetus, where you will learn 8 key principles that can shift your relationship with fear forever. Fear thrives in the space between what we can control and what we cannot. Epictetus teaches that the first step to overcoming fear is understanding where your power lies. Your mind, your actions, your choices. These are within your control. Everything else, whether it's the outcome of a situation or the opinions of others, is not. The more you cling to what you cannot control, the more fear will dominate your life. But the moment you shift your focus inward, you begin to weaken fear's hold. This principle is not just philosophical, it is practical. Every day there are countless situations that invite fear. But ask yourself, can I control this? If the answer is no, let it go. When you detach from outcomes, you are setting yourself free. There is a natural human tendency to desire certain results. We want to succeed, to be accepted, to feel secure. But the Stoics knew that clinging to these desires is what gives birth to fear. What if things don't go the way you want them to? This question alone is the seed of anxiety, but Epictetus would advise that your duty is not to guarantee a result, but to put forth your best effort. Whatever happens next is not for you to control. Once you accept this, you open the door to true peace. It is vital to see fear not as a roadblock, but as an invitation to grow. When you experience fear, it often signals that you are stepping into unfamiliar territory. This is where growth happens. Epictetus taught that discomfort is the price of progress. Without fear, without challenge, you stay the same. By reframing fear as a teacher rather than a tyrant, you can begin to embrace it. Each moment of fear becomes a moment where you can expand, push your boundaries, and become more than you were before. Facing fear means preparing for the worst-case scenario, but not in a way that fuels anxiety. Instead, by calmly considering the worst outcome, you begin to see that, in most cases, it's not as catastrophic as you might think. When you contemplate the worst, you strip it of its power. Fear often comes from exaggerating what could happen, but when you break it down, you realize that even if the worst occurs, you will survive it. And in many cases, the worst never happens at all. Fear feels real, but it's often built on irrational thoughts. Your mind can spin situations into catastrophic stories, making the unknown seem terrifying. Epictetus taught that emotions like fear are often born from faulty thinking. To overcome fear, you need to train yourself to question your thoughts. When fear arises, pause and ask, is this fear based on facts, or is it a product of my imagination? By doing this, you begin to dismantle the irrational layers that feed your fear, leaving only what is real. And most of the time, what is real is far less frightening than you thought. A major reason fear holds us back is because we fixate on the future. We worry about what might happen, what could go wrong, how we might fail. But fear of the future is just a projection of the mind. Epictetus believed that peace comes from focusing on the present moment, the only moment you truly have control over. When your mind wanders to the future and fear starts to creep in, bring yourself back to the present. What can you do now? Fear cannot survive in the present because the present is where action lives. One of the most powerful antidotes to fear is courage, and courage is something you build through action. Epictetus didn't see courage as a trait that some people are born with and others are not. It's a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens the more you use it. Start by confronting small fears in your daily life. Speak up when you're afraid of judgment. Try something new when you fear failure. Each act of courage, no matter how small, contributes to your ability to face bigger fears later. Over time, you will realize that fear is not an insurmountable wall, but a challenge you can rise to meet. Perfectionism is fear in disguise. The need to be perfect, to never make mistakes, is rooted in the fear of judgment and failure. Epictetus would remind us that striving for perfection is a futile endeavor, one that only leads to frustration and anxiety. Instead, accept that mistakes are part of the journey. The fear of not being perfect can hold you back from even trying, but the truth is, no one ever achieves greatness without stumbling along the way. Let go of perfectionism and embrace the messy, imperfect process of learning and growth. Once you understand that fear is often just a distortion of reality, you begin to see how it limits your potential. The stories fear tells you are rarely accurate. They are exaggerations designed to keep you safe, but ultimately keep you stuck. When you expose fear's lies, you can begin to act in ways that reflect your true potential. You can take risks, speak your truth, and pursue your dreams without being weighed down by the imagined consequences that fear conjures up. Fear also thrives in isolation. When you face your fears alone, they often feel larger and more intimidating. But when you share your fears with others, whether through conversation, support, or mentorship, you realize that everyone experiences fear. You are not alone in your struggles, and knowing this can give you the strength to face them head-on. Epictetus believed in the power of community, of learning from others, and of drawing strength from shared experiences. This sense of connection is a crucial tool in overcoming fear. Another powerful method to deal with fear is to cultivate gratitude. Fear focuses on what could go wrong, on what is missing, on the potential for loss. Gratitude, on the other hand, shifts your focus to what is already good, what you already have, and the abundance that surrounds you. By practicing gratitude, you train your mind to see beyond fear's narrow perspective. You begin to recognize that no matter what happens, there is always something to be grateful for. This shift in focus can dissolve fear's grip on your thoughts. Fear often comes from feeling disconnected, from yourself, from your purpose, from the world around you. Epictetus believed that the more connected you are to your values, your sense of purpose, and your inner strength, the less room fear has to control you. When you know who you are and what you stand for, fear loses its power to shake you. You become anchored in something deeper, something stronger than fear itself. By learning to live in alignment with these principles, you'll discover that fear, while present, doesn't have to run your life. It can be acknowledged without being obeyed. It can be felt without being feared. And in this realization lies the greatest freedom you can ever know, the freedom to live fully without the chains of fear holding you back. Now, let's begin the journey to that freedom. With every principle you embrace, with every step you take, you will find yourself closer to the life you've always been capable of living, one that is free from fear's limitations. There is a vast world of possibilities waiting for you, and it begins with the first step, taking back control of your mind, your actions, and your life. Let's take that step together. As you've learned, fear thrives when we allow external circumstances and opinions to dictate our emotions and actions. But overcoming fear is just one part of the journey. To live freely, we must go even deeper. Now, we turn to an even more transformative aspect of Stoic wisdom, the art of not caring. Not in the sense of apathy or indifference, but in mastering the ability to let go of things that do not serve our growth, peace, or purpose. Life constantly pulls us in different directions, with pressures to meet expectations, to fit into molds that were never made for us. The weight of caring too much about what others think, or about outcomes beyond our control, can drag us down. Epictetus knew that true freedom lies in learning to release that unnecessary weight and focus only on what truly matters. The less you care about the noise around you, the more space you create for peace, purpose, and fulfillment. When you care too much about the opinions of others, you hand over control of your happiness. People's judgments are fleeting, often based on their own insecurities, and yet we let them affect our sense of self-worth. This principle teaches you to take back that power. No one else has the right to define who you are. When you release the need for validation from others, you gain a profound sense of inner freedom. You begin to live for yourself, not for the expectations others place on you. It's not about rejecting people. It's about refusing to let their opinions govern your life. One of the greatest traps in life is the pursuit of external approval. We chase success, recognition, and praise, thinking that these things will bring us happiness. But Stoicism teaches that the more you chase external validation, the further you drift from your true self. The problem with caring too much about external success is that it's never enough. You always want more, and with each new achievement, the bar is raised higher. To master the art of not caring, you must realize that true success lies in inner contentment, not in what the world sees as success. Another aspect of this principle is learning to let go of things you cannot control. Much of the stress we experience comes from trying to change things that are beyond our reach. Whether it's the actions of others, the outcome of a situation, or the state of the world, these are things you cannot fully influence. When you focus on them, you waste energy and invite frustration into your life. But when you care only about what you can control, your actions, your thoughts, and your responses, you gain a sense of peace that nothing external can take away. Caring too much about material possessions is another burden that weighs heavily on many. The more you attach your happiness to things, the more vulnerable you become to losing that happiness when those things are gone. Epictetus warned against the trap of materialism, not because things are inherently bad, but because they are fleeting. True wealth is found in having fewer needs. When you no longer care about accumulating more, you free yourself from the constant desire for what you don't have. In this way, you experience the richness of life in its simplest form. It's not just material possessions we cling to. We often hold on to ideas, habits and beliefs that no longer serve us, simply because we fear change. But the art of not caring is also about embracing change without resistance. Life is constantly shifting, and trying to cling to what once was only causes suffering. When you learn to flow with the natural rhythm of life, you discover that letting go is not a loss, but a gain. You create space for new experiences, new growth, and new opportunities for happiness. Learning not to care about things that don't matter means learning to say no. So often, we take on more than we should because we don't want to disappoint others, or we feel obligated to meet their expectations. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your values, you say no to something that does. The art of not caring means being selective about where you invest your time and energy. It's about saying no to the things that drain you so that you can say yes to the things that fulfill you. People often confuse caring less with being cold or indifferent. But this is a misunderstanding. Stoicism teaches that you can be deeply compassionate and still practice detachment. Caring less about the trivial things allows you to care more deeply about what truly matters. When you stop worrying about how others perceive you or about things that are out of your control, you have more emotional space to be fully present for the people and causes that align with your values. You become more effective in your relationships and your contributions to the world. It's also essential to understand that caring too much about being liked is one of the greatest obstacles to living authentically. When you shape your actions around gaining approval, you lose touch with who you really are. Epictetus believed that living in accordance with your true nature is the highest form of integrity. This means being honest with yourself and others, even when it's uncomfortable. When you no longer care about being liked by everyone, you give yourself permission to be authentic, and authenticity is far more powerful than popularity. The fear of missing out, FOMO, is another form of caring too much that plagues modern life. We are constantly bombarded with images of what others are doing, achieving, and experiencing, leading us to feel that we are somehow falling behind. But this is an illusion. The art of not caring teaches that your path is your own. There is no need to compare yourself to others or measure your worth by their standards. When you stop caring about keeping up with everyone else, you free yourself from the anxiety of comparison and start living a life that is uniquely yours. Not caring also means letting go of the need for perfection. Perfectionism is often rooted in the fear of failure or judgment. But Epictetus would remind you that nothing in life is perfect, and the pursuit of perfection is an endless, exhausting journey. Instead of striving for flawlessness, focus on progress. The more you allow yourself to be imperfect, the more you will grow. Letting go of perfection frees you from the stress of constant self-criticism and allows you to appreciate the beauty in imperfection. The idea that you must always be productive or successful is another area where caring too much can lead to burnout. While it's important to work hard and strive for your goals, constantly pushing yourself to achieve more can leave you feeling exhausted and empty. The art of not caring means recognizing when enough is enough. It's about knowing when to rest, when to step back, and when to prioritize your well-being over the pressure to perform. True success is not measured by how much you do, but by how balanced and fulfilled you feel. Relationships can be another source of unnecessary caring, especially when it comes to seeking approval or validation from others. Whether it's a romantic partner, family member, or friend. Caring too much about what they think of you can lead to people-pleasing behavior that drains your energy and compromises your boundaries. To master the art of not caring in relationships, you must establish clear boundaries and recognize that your worth is not dependent on anyone else's opinion. When you care less about external validation, you create healthier, more authentic connections with others. The fear of making mistakes is often tied to the need for control. We care so much about getting things right that we hesitate to take risks or try new things. But mistakes are an essential part of growth. Epictetus believed that the only real mistake is failing to learn from our experiences. When you stop caring about being perfect or avoiding failure, you open yourself up to new opportunities and lessons. Each mistake becomes a stepping stone to greater wisdom and resilience. Finally, caring less means accepting that life will not always go as planned. No matter how carefully you plan or how much effort you put in, there will always be elements of unpredictability. Epictetus taught that peace comes from accepting life as it is, not as you wish it to be. When you let go of the need for control and embrace uncertainty, you become more adaptable, more resilient, and more at peace with whatever comes your way. This journey of mastering the art of not caring is not about becoming detached from life. It's about becoming more fully engaged with what truly matters. As you continue on this path, you will find that the things that once weighed you down, whether it's the opinions of others, the need for approval, or the fear of failure, no longer have the same power over you. You will discover a freedom that comes from within, a sense of calm that remains steady no matter what life throws your way. In this space of inner freedom, you can focus on what truly brings meaning, joy, and purpose into your life. You can devote your energy to the things that align with your values, instead of being pulled in 1,000 different directions by the demands and expectations of the world. You can live with clarity, purpose, and peace, knowing that you have mastered the art of caring about the right things and letting go of the rest. Now, we move forward, deeper into the wisdom that Stoicism offers, where you will continue to build on these principles, freeing yourself from the burdens that hold you back and stepping into a life of true freedom and peace. Having learned to master the art of not caring, you've already begun to free yourself from the expectations, judgments, and opinions of others. This freedom is powerful, but it's not enough. There will still be moments when disrespect comes your way, whether through words, actions, or attitudes. Disrespect is often a sharp reminder of the outside world's harshness, testing your sense of inner peace and stability. But just as Stoicism teaches us to rise above fear and the need for external validation, it also equips us with the tools to handle disrespect with strength, dignity, and wisdom. Disrespect is a test of your character, not your worth. One of the most important lessons from Stoicism is that how others treat you is a reflection of their values, not yours. When someone disrespects you, they reveal their lack of self-control or their own frustrations. It has nothing to do with who you are. Stoicism reminds you that your value does not come from the opinions of others, so disrespect cannot diminish your worth unless you allow it to. The natural reaction to disrespect is often anger or hurt. But anger is a choice, not an inevitability. Stoics teach that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control our reactions. When faced with disrespect, the first step is to pause and reflect before responding. This moment of calm allows you to regain control over your emotions, preventing you from reacting impulsively. It gives you the opportunity to respond with wisdom rather than anger, which ultimately shows strength. By taking this pause, you also demonstrate the power of detachment. When someone disrespects you, their words or actions are meant to provoke a reaction. But when you detach yourself emotionally, you deprive them of the power they seek. You show that your inner peace is not easily disturbed by the behavior of others. Detachment is not about being cold or indifferent. It's about refusing to let negative energy penetrate your sense of self. When dealing with disrespect, it's also crucial to remember the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control. You cannot force others to respect you, but you can control how you respond to their actions. The goal is not to win them over or change their behavior, but to maintain your own integrity and composure. This shift in focus from external outcomes to internal stability is at the heart of Stoic wisdom. It's easy to take disrespect personally, but Stoicism encourages us to see it from a broader perspective. Often, people act disrespectfully out of their own struggles, insecurities, or misunderstandings. By viewing their actions with empathy rather than anger, you can begin to let go of the personal sting. This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but it does help you maintain a sense of calm and perspective, preventing the situation from escalating unnecessarily. Another powerful Stoic lesson is the understanding that disrespect often comes from ignorance. People may not fully understand you or your values, and their actions reflect that lack of understanding. In such cases, getting angry or feeling hurt only gives power to their ignorance. Instead, you can choose to rise above it, recognizing that their actions have no real impact on your character or worth. One of the hardest aspects of handling disrespect is resisting the urge to retaliate. But retaliation, as tempting as it may be, only drags you down to the same level as the person who disrespected you. Stoicism teaches that true strength lies in maintaining your principles, even when provoked. When you respond to disrespect with dignity and composure, you show that you are governed by your own values, not by the actions of others. Silence can be one of the most powerful responses to disrespect. In many cases, saying nothing speaks louder than any rebuttal. It shows that you do not need to defend yourself against petty attacks, and it leaves the other person with nothing to feed off. Silence can be a tool of strength, allowing you to maintain control over the situation without engaging in conflict. At the same time, there are moments when it is necessary to address disrespect directly. Stoicism does not advocate for passivity in the face of wrong. However, when addressing disrespect, the key is to do so with calmness and clarity, not with anger or aggression. A clear, composed response can often disarm the other person, showing them that you are not easily shaken and that their actions do not control your emotions. Learning to let go of grudges is another essential Stoic principle when dealing with disrespect. Holding on to resentment only harms you in the long run, not the person who disrespected you. Stoicism teaches that grudges weigh heavily on the soul, keeping you tied to negative emotions. By letting go of the need for revenge or justice, you free yourself from the burden of that negativity and open the door to inner peace. Another important aspect of handling disrespect is recognizing when to walk away. Not every battle is worth fighting, and Stoicism teaches that wisdom lies in knowing which situations require your energy and which do not. Walking away from a situation where you are disrespected is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It shows that you value your peace of mind over engaging in unnecessary conflict. Disrespect can also serve as a reminder to stay grounded in your own values. When someone challenges your sense of self-worth, it's an opportunity to reaffirm your own beliefs and principles. You are not defined by the opinions of others, and by standing firm in your own values, you show that disrespect has no power over you. Disrespect often triggers a defensive response, but Stoicism encourages us to question whether defense is truly necessary. Often, the desire to defend ourselves comes from a place of insecurity. But when you are secure in who you are, there is no need to defend yourself against the opinions of others. You know your worth, and no external attack can change that. Learning to see disrespect as a test of your character can also be empowering. Stoicism views challenges as opportunities for growth, and disrespect is no different. Each time you handle disrespect with grace, you strengthen your ability to remain calm and composed in the face of adversity. Over time, this builds resilience and fortitude, making you less vulnerable to the opinions of others. In moments of disrespect, it's important to remember the Stoic belief that the opinions of others are fleeting and often shallow. What someone says or thinks about you today may change tomorrow, and their judgment is rarely based on a deep understanding of who you are. Stoicism teaches that true judgment comes from within. You are the only one who truly knows your intentions, your efforts, and your values. Stoicism also reminds us that life is full of challenges, and disrespect is just one of many. By learning to handle it with calmness and wisdom, you prepare yourself for other, more significant challenges that may come your way. The ability to remain unshaken in the face of disrespect strengthens your ability to navigate life's ups and downs with resilience and grace. One of the most liberating lessons from Stoicism is the understanding that you do not need the approval of others to live a fulfilled life. Disrespect often stings because we seek validation from those around us. But Stoicism teaches that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with your own values, regardless of what others think. When you stop seeking approval, disrespect loses its power to hurt you. Disrespect can also be an opportunity to practice forgiveness, not for the benefit of the other person, but for your own peace of mind. Stoicism encourages us to let go of anger and resentment, recognizing that these emotions only harm ourselves. By forgiving those who have disrespected you, you free yourself from the burden of carrying that negativity with you. Stoicism teaches that nothing external can truly harm you unless you allow it to. Disrespect may hurt your ego, but it cannot touch your inner self. Your mind, your character, and your values remain intact, no matter what others say or do. This realization is the ultimate source of strength, allowing you to remain unshaken by the actions of others. By practicing humility in the face of disrespect, you also cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace. Stoicism teaches that humility is not about lowering yourself, but about recognizing that you do not need to prove your worth to anyone. When you are secure in yourself, you do not need to engage in power struggles or ego battles. You can simply let go and move on. Disrespect often stems from a lack of understanding or communication. Stoicism encourages us to seek clarity in these situations. Before reacting, ask yourself whether the disrespect was intentional or a result of miscommunication. By seeking to understand the other person's perspective, you can often diffuse the situation and avoid unnecessary conflict. Stoicism also teaches the value of patience when dealing with disrespect. Not every slight needs to be addressed immediately. Sometimes the best course of action is to wait and see if the situation resolves itself naturally. By practicing patience, you give yourself the time to reflect and respond thoughtfully, rather than reacting impulsively. Another powerful tool in handling disrespect is self-compassion. Stoicism teaches that while we must strive for resilience, we are also human. It's natural to feel hurt or frustrated when disrespected, and it's important to acknowledge those emotions without judgment. By practicing self-compassion, you allow yourself to feel the pain without letting it control your actions. In moments of disrespect, it can also be helpful to practice mindfulness. By bringing your awareness to the present moment, you can observe your thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them. Mindfulness allows you to remain grounded, preventing you from reacting out of anger or hurt. One of the most difficult lessons in Stoicism is learning to accept that you cannot control how others treat you. Disrespect will happen, and there is no way to prevent it entirely. But Stoicism teaches that acceptance is a form of power. When you accept that you cannot control others, you free yourself from the frustration of trying to change them. Handling disrespect with grace also involves cultivating a sense of self-respect. Stoicism teaches that the respect you have for yourself is far more important than the respect others give you. When you hold yourself in high regard, the opinions of others fade into the background. You no longer need external validation to feel confident in who you are. Disrespect is often a reflection of the other person's internal struggles, not your own shortcomings. Stoicism encourages us to approach these situations with compassion rather than judgment. By recognizing that the person who disrespected you may be dealing with their own pain, you can let go of the need to retaliate and instead choose to rise above the situation. Another key Stoic principle is the idea that your happiness is your responsibility, not anyone else's. Disrespect can feel like an attack on your sense of well-being, but Stoicism teaches that happiness comes from within. When you take ownership of your happiness, you become less vulnerable to the actions and words of others. In the end, handling disrespect is about maintaining your sense of inner peace. Stoicism teaches that peace comes from living in harmony with your own values, regardless of external circumstances. When you prioritize your peace over the need to defend yourself or retaliate, you gain a sense of strength that cannot be shaken by the actions of others. As you continue on this journey of Stoic wisdom, remember that the way you handle disrespect is a reflection of your character, not theirs. Each time you choose to respond with dignity, you strengthen your resilience, deepen your sense of inner peace, and move closer to living a life of true freedom and wisdom. Having explored how Stoicism teaches us to handle disrespect with grace and inner strength, we now turn our focus to an equally essential part of living a Stoic life: silence and discretion. There are certain topics that, when discussed openly, invite unnecessary conflict, drain your energy, and distract you from what truly matters. Stoicism places great importance on protecting your peace and maintaining your focus on personal growth, and part of that process is learning when to remain silent. The wisdom in knowing what subjects to avoid can preserve your sense of balance and protect you from the chaos that certain conversations bring. Words hold power, and what we choose to discuss reflects not only our priorities, but also the level of control we have over our thoughts and emotions. Some topics, although seemingly harmless, can trigger emotional reactions or push others into judgment. For a Stoic, it's essential to rise above conversations that add no value to your journey. Engaging in these discussions can pull you away from your path of tranquility and self-improvement. When people engage in gossip, they often forget that such talk rarely contributes anything meaningful. Gossip is fueled by assumptions, exaggerations, and half-truths. It thrives on the misfortune or mistakes of others, feeding insecurity and jealousy. Stoicism teaches that time and energy should be spent on improving oneself, not tearing down others. By refusing to discuss gossip, you remain focused on your own values and actions, rather than being swept into pointless conversations that offer nothing but distraction and negativity. In the same way, discussing other people's failures or misfortunes does more harm than good. These conversations often lead to judgment and comparison, neither of which align with Stoic principles. Judgment of others can cloud your perception, pulling your attention away from self-reflection. Instead of focusing on the shortcomings of others, a Stoic would rather turn inward and ask how they can improve themselves. This way, you rise above the pettiness of comparison and strengthen your own character. Another subject that often leads to unnecessary tension is discussing material wealth. In a world that places such high value on possessions and status, it's easy to get caught up in conversations about money, luxury, and success. But for a Stoic, true wealth lies in having fewer desires, not more possessions. By avoiding discussions centered on materialism, you free yourself from the pressure to compete with others or define your worth by external factors. Instead, you cultivate inner contentment, realizing that your peace and happiness are not for sale. Politics is another area where conversations can quickly spiral into conflict and division. While it's important to stay informed, Stoicism teaches that discussions about politics often devolve into arguments that serve no constructive purpose. These debates are rarely about finding common ground. They're more about proving who is right. By stepping away from political debates, you preserve your energy for actions that align with your principles rather than getting lost in the noise of partisan battles. Your inner peace is worth far more than winning a political argument. It's also wise to avoid discussing the faults of others in their absence. This practice, known as backbiting, only serves to fuel resentment and division. Stoicism encourages us to speak only what is necessary and kind, focusing on constructive dialogue rather than destructive criticism. When you refrain from speaking ill of others behind their backs, you show respect for both yourself and those around you. You maintain a sense of integrity, which is crucial for living a Stoic life. Conversations about past mistakes can also be a trap. While reflection and learning from the past are valuable, dwelling on mistakes, whether your own or others, keeps you stuck in a cycle of regret and blame. A Stoic knows that the past cannot be changed, and therefore there is little value in continually discussing it. Instead, focus on what can be done in the present. Move forward with lessons learned, but leave the past where it belongs, without constantly revisiting it in conversation. The subject of others' opinions of you is another discussion that holds no benefit. Seeking validation or worrying about how others perceive you is a path to constant anxiety. Stoicism teaches that your worth is not determined by the views of others, but by how closely you live in alignment with your own principles. By avoiding conversations that revolve around others' judgments, you free yourself from the trap of people-pleasing and begin to live authentically, according to your own values. Complaining about circumstances is yet another area to avoid. Life is full of challenges, but Stoicism teaches that complaining does nothing to improve your situation. In fact, it only magnifies your focus on what's wrong rather than on finding a solution. When you stop engaging in conversations filled with complaints, you redirect your energy toward productive actions. Complaints invite frustration and helplessness, but taking action restores a sense of control. A Stoic prefers to focus on solutions, not problems. Personal drama, whether your own or someone else's, is another area to steer clear of. Conversations centered on drama often lack purpose and stir up unnecessary emotion. They fuel the ego and create an attachment to the trivial. Stoicism teaches that the more you indulge in these discussions, the further you stray from peace. Drama pulls you into the realm of emotional reactivity, whereas a Stoic strives to remain calm and centered, unaffected by external chaos. By consciously choosing not to engage in these conversations, you protect your peace of mind. Each of these subjects has the potential to drain your energy and pull you away from your Stoic practice. When you avoid these discussions, you remain focused on what truly matters: self-improvement, inner peace, and living according to your values. Not every conversation needs to be had, and not every thought needs to be voiced. By practicing discretion, you create space for meaningful dialogue and eliminate the unnecessary noise that often clutters our minds. In doing so, you align yourself more closely with Stoic principles, where silence and thoughtful speech are seen as virtues. Silence is not about avoiding conflict or retreating from the world. It is about choosing carefully where to invest your time and energy. When you refrain from discussing certain topics, you preserve your focus for conversations that uplift, inspire, and contribute to your growth. The art of silence is about understanding the power of your words and knowing when they will add value and when they will only contribute to confusion and conflict. Stoicism places great emphasis on self-control, and part of that control comes from mastering your speech. When you avoid these subjects, you free yourself from the emotional turbulence that they often stir. Instead, you can engage in discussions that lead to growth, wisdom, and deeper understanding. By focusing on what is truly important, you strengthen your Stoic practice and protect your inner peace. Avoiding these topics does not mean avoiding difficult conversations altogether. There will always be important matters to discuss, but Stoicism teaches us to approach those conversations with clarity, purpose, and calm. When you choose to engage only in discussions that matter, you prevent yourself from getting caught up in the emotional reactivity that trivial topics often provoke. At the core of this practice is the Stoic understanding that your energy and attention are limited resources. Where you direct them will shape your life. By avoiding topics that lead to conflict, gossip, or unnecessary worry, you conserve your energy for what truly matters: your growth, your principles, and your peace of mind. Stoicism encourages you to be deliberate in your actions, and this includes how you speak. Words carry weight, and the more mindful you are of them, the more you strengthen your character. Choosing not to engage in these conversations allows you to focus on what truly aligns with your values and what contributes to your personal development. You don't need to explain yourself or your choices to others. When you decide not to participate in certain discussions, it's not about avoiding people or being dismissive. It's about protecting your peace and ensuring that your words are used for meaningful exchanges. This is how you maintain control over your life, by controlling your speech and your engagement with the world around you. There is wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. The more you practice this, the more you realize how much peace it brings. You no longer feel the need to react to every conversation or be part of every debate. Instead, you focus on the conversations that elevate your mind and spirit, leaving behind the noise that only adds confusion to your path. As you continue on your Stoic journey, reflect on how your conversations influence your state of mind. Choose words that align with your values and refrain from those that pull you away from your inner peace. This is not about withdrawal from the world, but about engaging with it in a way that reflects the Stoic virtues of wisdom, temperance, and courage. With each conversation you choose to avoid, you build discipline. You learn that not every topic deserves your attention, and not every discussion is worth having. This frees you from the emotional turbulence that often comes with gossip, complaints, or pointless arguments. By staying true to your values, you remain steady, grounded, and in control of your own journey. Now, as you walk this path of discretion, you will find that your conversations become more purposeful, your words more powerful, and your inner peace more protected. In the silence between discussions, you will hear the wisdom of Stoicism guiding you to live a life of deeper meaning and clarity. As you've learned to master discretion and protect your inner peace by choosing your conversations wisely, the next step is even more transformative: detachment. In life, the ability to detach from people and situations isn't about being cold or distant. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight that can come from over-attachment to things beyond your control. Detachment, as taught by Stoicism, is a way to guard your inner tranquility while still living fully and engaging with the world. It's not avoidance, but a profound form of self-mastery that allows you to remain centered no matter what life brings. People and situations often demand our emotional investment, but investing too much leaves you vulnerable to disappointment, frustration, and pain. Detachment is not about withdrawal. It's about staying connected without losing yourself in the process. When you learn how to detach, you are no longer swept away by the ups and downs of relationships, work, or external events. Instead, you remain calm and balanced, able to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. In relationships, detachment allows you to love more fully because you are no longer trying to control the outcome. When you hold too tightly to people, expecting them to behave a certain way or fulfill your needs, you set yourself up for disappointment. Detachment teaches that people are not ours to control. They are on their own journeys, just as we are. By letting go of the need to shape their actions or emotions, you free yourself to experience relationships in a way that is grounded in respect, not expectation. Detachment from situations is equally important. Life is unpredictable, and events often unfold in ways we don't expect. The Stoic philosophy reminds us that while we cannot control these external events, we can control how we respond to them. Detachment helps you view situations with clarity, free from the emotional clouding that comes with attachment to specific outcomes. When you detach from the need for things to go a certain way, you open yourself up to accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. The key to detachment lies in understanding that clinging too tightly to people or outcomes limits your freedom. Attachment creates a dependency on external forces for your happiness. When you rely on others or circumstances to make you feel whole, you give away your power. Detachment, on the other hand, brings that power back to you. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care in a way that doesn't compromise your inner peace. A major reason detachment is so important in Stoicism is that it allows you to maintain control over your emotions. Emotions are not inherently bad, but when they overwhelm you, they cloud your judgment and lead to irrational decisions. By practicing detachment, you can observe your emotions without being ruled by them. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, but recognizing them for what they are: temporary reactions to temporary situations. This awareness gives you the space to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. When you detach from people, you also detach from the need for their approval. The constant need for validation from others is a heavy burden to carry. It keeps you in a state of anxiety, always wondering how others perceive you. Detachment frees you from this cycle. You begin to value your own opinion more than that of others. This doesn't make you arrogant or self-absorbed. It simply places the source of your self-worth within yourself, where it belongs. Another aspect of detachment is releasing the need to control every situation. Control is an illusion, and the more you try to hold on to it, the more you realize how little control you actually have. Detachment helps you accept that there will always be things outside your influence. By releasing your grip, you stop wasting energy on trying to manage the unmanageable and instead focus on what you can control: your actions, your mindset, and your perspective. In work and personal projects, detachment helps you stay grounded. When you become too attached to a specific outcome, you set yourself up for stress and disappointment if things don't go as planned. Detachment allows you to give your best effort while accepting that the results may be beyond your control. This way, you can take pride in your work without being defined by it. The process becomes more important than the outcome, and you find peace in knowing you've done your best. Detaching from situations doesn't mean giving up or being indifferent. On the contrary, it's about engaging fully while understanding that you cannot predict or dictate the results. This mindset allows you to move through life with more fluidity, adapting to change and uncertainty with grace. When you no longer cling to rigid expectations, you become more resilient, able to face challenges without feeling overwhelmed. Detachment also helps you deal with the inevitable disappointments that come with life. Whether it's a failed relationship, a missed opportunity, or an unforeseen setback, attachment to specific outcomes amplifies the pain of disappointment. Detachment, however, softens the blow. You learn to accept that not everything will go your way, and that's okay. Life continues, and so do you. Detachment gives you the resilience to keep moving forward, regardless of setbacks. In relationships, detachment can often be misunderstood as emotional distance, but Stoic detachment is about loving others without trying to possess or control them. When you detach, you are able to love more freely because you are no longer tied to the fear of losing that person or the need to control their behavior. This type of love is less about dependency and more about mutual respect and understanding. It allows both people in the relationship to grow individually without feeling restricted by each other's expectations. Detachment also brings a sense of calm to your interactions with others. When you are attached to how people react or respond to you, every conversation can feel like a test. But when you detach from the need for others to act a certain way, you are free to communicate openly and honestly, without fear of judgment or rejection. This calmness invites more genuine and meaningful connections with others, as you are no longer clouded by the need for approval. Learning how to detach from people and situations is not about cutting yourself off from the world. It's about staying engaged while maintaining your inner balance. When you practice detachment, you move through life with a sense of calm confidence, knowing that your peace does not depend on external circumstances or the actions of others. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people or situations. It means you care in a way that doesn't compromise your own well-being. In moments of conflict or tension, detachment can be a powerful tool for staying centered. When you are too emotionally invested in the outcome of a situation, it's easy to become defensive or reactive. But detachment allows you to step back, assess the situation with clarity, and respond thoughtfully. You are no longer driven by the need to win or to prove yourself. Instead, you focus on what truly matters, maintaining your integrity and inner peace. Detachment is also essential when facing criticism. Whether the criticism comes from others or from within, being too attached to your image or your sense of self can make criticism feel like a personal attack. But when you detach from the need to be perfect or to please others, criticism becomes less threatening. You can take what is useful from it without letting it undermine your sense of self-worth. This ability to detach from criticism ties into another important aspect of Stoic detachment, self-compassion. When you are too attached to perfection, every mistake feels like a failure. But detachment allows you to view mistakes as part of the learning process, not as reflections of your worth. You become more forgiving of yourself, allowing room for growth and improvement without being weighed down by self-criticism. Detachment also plays a crucial role in dealing with grief and loss. Life is full of impermanence, and the Stoics understood that attachment to things or people as though they will last forever only leads to suffering. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care when loss occurs, but it helps you accept that loss is a natural part of life. By accepting the impermanence of all things, you find peace even in the midst of grief, knowing that everything has its time and place. In relationships, detachment can create healthier boundaries. When you are too attached, you may lose sight of your own needs and desires, sacrificing them for the sake of the other person. Detachment allows you to maintain a sense of individuality within the relationship. You can love and support the other person while still honoring your own boundaries and personal growth. This balance is essential for any relationship to thrive. Detachment is also key to reducing anxiety. Much of our anxiety comes from worrying about the future, trying to predict or control outcomes that are inherently uncertain. Detachment frees you from this mental trap by reminding you that the future is not yours to control. Your responsibility lies in the present, doing your best with what you have now and trusting that the future will unfold as it should. This shift in focus allows you to experience life more fully, without being weighed down by constant worry. In professional life, detachment helps you stay focused on what truly matters. When you are too attached to your career or your success, every setback feels like a personal failure. But detachment reminds you that your worth is not tied to your achievements. You can pursue your goals with passion and dedication while remaining unattached to the results. This creates a healthier relationship with work, where you are motivated by purpose, not by the need for external validation. Detachment also helps you manage stress. When you are too attached to controlling every detail of your life, stress becomes inevitable. You try to juggle too many responsibilities, fearing that if one thing falls apart, everything will collapse. Detachment teaches you to release the need for control, allowing you to prioritize what truly matters and let go of the rest. This mindset shift reduces stress and allows you to approach challenges with a calm, clear mind. Another benefit of detachment is that it helps you let go of past hurts and resentments. Holding on to grudges keeps you trapped in a cycle of anger and pain. But when you detach from the need for justice or revenge, you free yourself from the emotional burden of the past. Detachment allows you to forgive, not for the sake of the other person, but for your own peace of mind. By releasing resentment, you open the door to healing and growth. Detachment also fosters a deeper sense of self-awareness. When you are too attached to your image, your relationships, or your goals, it's easy to lose sight of who you really are. Detachment gives you the space to step back and reflect on your true values and desires. It helps you strip away the external influences that cloud your judgment and reconnect with your authentic self. Detachment allows you to experience life with more freedom and joy. When you are no longer bound by the need for control, validation, or specific outcomes, you can move through life with a sense of lightness. You become more open to new experiences, more adaptable to change, and more resilient in the face of challenges. This freedom is the ultimate gift of Stoic detachment, a life lived fully, without fear or attachment to things beyond your control. As you embrace detachment, you will find that your relationships, your work, and your personal growth all benefit from this practice. You will feel more grounded, more resilient, and more at peace with the world around you. Detachment is not about withdrawal from life, but about engaging with it more fully, without losing your sense of self. It is the path to true freedom, one that allows you to live with purpose, clarity, and inner peace. As we've explored the power of detachment and how it brings strength and clarity, it's now time to examine something equally important: the habits that weaken us. Often, we are unaware of the subtle ways in which our daily routines and actions undermine our potential and drain our inner strength. These habits can slowly chip away at our resilience, leaving us feeling powerless and stuck. If you are to live a life of strength and purpose, as Stoicism encourages, it's crucial to identify and eliminate the behaviors that make you weak. This is not about perfection, but about freeing yourself from the patterns that hold you back. The first habit that erodes your strength is procrastination. Putting off what needs to be done creates a cycle of stress and self-doubt. Every time you delay action, you send yourself the message that you are not capable of handling your responsibilities. Over time, this weakens your confidence and makes even small tasks feel overwhelming. Procrastination also robs you of the opportunity to experience the satisfaction of progress. Instead of feeling empowered by taking control of your life, you remain stuck in a state of inaction, weighed down by unfinished tasks. Another habit that weakens you is allowing fear to dictate your decisions. Fear is natural, but when it controls your actions, it limits your growth. Avoiding challenges because they are uncomfortable or uncertain keeps you from realizing your full potential. Each time you choose safety over courage, you strengthen the belief that you are not capable of overcoming difficulties. This habit of avoidance becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, making you feel smaller and weaker than you truly are. To break free from this, you must face fear head-on, using it as a signal to push forward rather than retreat. Self-pity is another habit that drains your strength. When you dwell on your hardships and difficulties, you reinforce the belief that you are a victim of circumstance. This mindset keeps you focused on what's wrong in your life rather than what you can do to change it. Self-pity encourages passivity, making you feel powerless in the face of challenges. But Stoicism teaches that your power lies in how you respond to adversity. Instead of feeling sorry for yourself, you can choose to take action, even in the smallest ways, to reclaim your sense of agency and strength. The habit of seeking approval from others is another trap that weakens your inner resolve. When you rely on external validation for your sense of worth, you give away your power. You become dependent on the opinions of others, which are often fickle and unreliable. This habit keeps you constantly seeking validation, leaving you vulnerable to rejection and disappointment. True strength comes from within, from knowing your own worth without needing others to affirm it. When you break free from the need for approval, you begin to live authentically, guided by your own values rather than the expectations of others. Blaming others for your circumstances is another habit that erodes your strength. It's easy to point fingers when things don't go your way, but this mindset keeps you trapped in a cycle of frustration and powerlessness. Blame shifts responsibility away from you, leaving you stuck in a position where you feel helpless to change your situation. Stoicism teaches that you are responsible for your own life. While you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond. By taking ownership of your actions and decisions, you reclaim your power and build resilience. Another weakening habit is excessive indulgence in comfort and ease. While it's natural to seek comfort, constantly avoiding discomfort leads to stagnation. Growth happens when you challenge yourself, when you step outside of your comfort zone and face difficulties head-on. When you prioritize comfort over progress, you weaken your ability to handle adversity. You become less resilient, less adaptable, and more dependent on external sources of satisfaction. Stoicism encourages the practice of voluntary discomfort, not as a form of punishment, but as a way to strengthen your character and prepare yourself for life's inevitable challenges. Another weakening habit is complaining about circumstances you cannot change. Complaining keeps you focused on what's wrong rather than what you can do to improve your situation. It reinforces a victim mentality, making you feel powerless to change your life. Stoicism teaches that while you cannot control external events, you can control your response to them. Instead of complaining, focus on what you can do to adapt or improve your situation. This shift in mindset empowers you to take responsibility for your life and strengthens your ability to face challenges with resilience. The habit of avoiding difficult conversations is another way in which we weaken ourselves. Difficult conversations are often uncomfortable, but avoiding them only creates more tension and unresolved issues. By shying away from these discussions, you allow problems to fester, leading to resentment and frustration. Stoicism teaches the importance of addressing conflicts directly and with honesty. When you face difficult conversations head-on, you strengthen your ability to navigate relationships with integrity and respect, fostering healthier connections and a greater sense of inner strength. Indecisiveness is another habit that can make you feel weak and powerless. Constantly second-guessing yourself or avoiding making decisions out of fear of failure leads to stagnation. Indecisiveness keeps you trapped in a state of inaction, preventing you from moving forward in life. Stoicism encourages you to trust your judgment and take decisive action. By making decisions with confidence, even if the outcome is uncertain, you build the courage to face challenges head-on and grow from every experience. A habit that erodes your strength over time is relying on external circumstances for happiness. When your sense of well-being is tied to external events, people, or material possessions, you become vulnerable to disappointment and frustration. Stoicism teaches that true happiness comes from within, from living in alignment with your values and maintaining a sense of inner peace, regardless of what happens around you. By breaking the habit of seeking happiness outside of yourself, you gain the freedom to live with contentment and strength, no matter the circumstances. Avoiding failure is another habit that limits your potential and weakens your resilience. Failure is an inevitable part of growth, but the fear of failure often keeps people from taking risks or pursuing their dreams. By avoiding failure, you miss out on valuable lessons and opportunities for growth. Stoicism teaches that failure is not something to be feared, but embraced as a teacher. Each failure brings you closer to success, and by facing failure with courage, you build the strength to overcome any obstacle. Another habit that weakens you is holding on to grudges. When you hold on to resentment or anger toward others, you carry a heavy emotional burden that drains your energy and peace of mind. Grudges keep you tied to the past, preventing you from moving forward with clarity and freedom. Stoicism encourages forgiveness, not for the sake of the other person, but for your own well-being. By letting go of grudges, you free yourself from the weight of past wrongs and create space for healing and growth. The habit of excessive worrying about the future is another way in which we weaken ourselves. Worrying about what might happen takes you out of the present moment and fills your mind with anxiety. This habit drains your mental energy and prevents you from enjoying the here and now. Stoicism teaches that the future is uncertain and outside of your control. By focusing on what you can do in the present, you regain a sense of peace and strength, knowing that you are prepared for whatever may come. Another habit that keeps you weak is avoiding responsibility. When you shift blame or avoid taking ownership of your actions, you give away your power. This habit reinforces a sense of helplessness and prevents you from growing. Stoicism teaches that personal responsibility is the key to empowerment. By taking ownership of your choices and their consequences, you build the strength to shape your life according to your values and goals. Lack of gratitude is another habit that diminishes your inner strength. When you focus on what you lack rather than what you have, you create a mindset of scarcity and dissatisfaction. Gratitude shifts your focus to the abundance in your life, fostering a sense of contentment and resilience. Stoicism teaches the importance of gratitude for even the smallest blessings. By cultivating gratitude, you strengthen your ability to find peace and joy in the present moment, no matter the circumstances. The habit of being easily offended is another form of weakness. When you allow yourself to be constantly upset by the words or actions of others, you give away your emotional control. This habit leaves you vulnerable to the opinions and judgments of those around you. Stoicism teaches that you are in control of your own emotions, and nothing can harm you unless you allow it to. By practicing emotional resilience and letting go of the need to react to every slight, you build the strength to remain calm and composed in any situation. The habit of focusing on what's missing in your life rather than what's present weakens your ability to live fully. This habit creates a constant sense of lack, leaving you feeling unfulfilled and restless. Stoicism teaches that contentment comes from appreciating what you have, rather than constantly seeking more. By shifting your focus to the abundance in your life, you strengthen your sense of peace and satisfaction, allowing you to live with greater purpose and joy. Breaking these habits requires mindfulness and practice, but the reward is a life lived with strength, purpose, and inner peace. By eliminating these behaviors, you free yourself from the patterns that keep you weak and create space for growth, resilience, and fulfillment. Stoicism offers a path to transform your life by building habits that empower you, allowing you to live with greater clarity, confidence, and strength. Now that you've explored the habits that weaken your inner strength and how to break free from them, it's time to turn inward and reflect on perhaps the most important journey of all, understanding yourself. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, believed that true strength and wisdom come from deep self-awareness. To live a meaningful and peaceful life, you must first know who you are, what drives you, and how to master your inner world. This understanding is not just about knowing your strengths and weaknesses, but about cultivating a deeper connection with your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Self-understanding begins with honest reflection. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of daily self-examination, asking yourself what you did well, where you fell short, and how you can improve. This process requires brutal honesty, not to criticize yourself, but to truly see yourself as you are. When you reflect with this kind of clarity, you can begin to identify patterns in your behavior, motivations, and emotional responses. This is the foundation for growth, as it allows you to make conscious choices rather than being driven by unconscious habits. The more you understand your emotions, the more control you have over them. Marcus Aurelius believed that emotions are powerful, but they do not define you unless you allow them to. Often, people are swept away by their emotions, reacting impulsively and then regretting their actions later. But when you understand the root of your emotions, you can learn to manage them effectively. You can choose to pause, reflect, and decide how to respond, rather than being a slave to your feelings. Part of understanding yourself is recognizing your core values. What truly matters to you? What principles guide your decisions and actions? Without this understanding, it's easy to get lost in the noise of the world, chasing things that don't align with your true self. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of living in accordance with nature. This meant living in harmony with your own nature, understanding what you stand for, and staying true to those principles, regardless of external pressures. Understanding yourself also means being aware of your limitations. Marcus Aurelius taught that no one is perfect, and the pursuit of perfection is futile. Instead, focus on knowing where you need to grow and accepting that you are a work in progress. This acceptance doesn't mean complacency. It means recognizing that self-improvement is a lifelong journey. When you understand your limitations, you can approach life with humility, willing to learn and adapt rather than being frustrated by your imperfections. Another key aspect of self-understanding is learning how to be alone with your thoughts. In a world filled with distractions, it's easy to avoid quiet moments of self-reflection. But Marcus Aurelius believed that solitude was essential for self-awareness. Taking time to be alone with your thoughts, free from external influences, allows you to connect with your inner self on a deeper level. It is in these moments of solitude that you can ask yourself the important questions. What do I want from life? What am I afraid of? What brings me peace? Marcus Aurelius also emphasized the importance of understanding the transient nature of life. This realization allows you to see what truly matters. When you understand that your time is limited, you begin to prioritize what is most important to you. You no longer waste time on trivial pursuits or superficial concerns. Instead, you focus on living a life that is meaningful and aligned with your deeper values. This understanding helps you make better decisions, knowing that each choice shapes the quality of your life. Another vital aspect of understanding yourself is recognizing your tendencies. Are you prone to anger, anxiety, or jealousy? Do you often find yourself seeking validation or avoiding discomfort? Marcus Aurelius taught that understanding these tendencies is the first step to overcoming them. When you know your patterns, you can begin to work on them consciously. This doesn't mean you will never feel these emotions again, but it does mean you can manage them more effectively, preventing them from controlling your actions. Self-awareness also requires understanding your relationships with others. Marcus Aurelius believed that humans are social beings, and much of our happiness and fulfillment comes from how we interact with others. Understanding yourself means being aware of how you show up in relationships. Are you supportive, kind, and patient, or do you often let ego and expectations dictate your interactions? By reflecting on how you relate to others, you can build stronger, more meaningful connections that are based on mutual respect and understanding. Another part of understanding yourself is acknowledging your desires. Marcus Aurelius knew that desire can often lead us astray, pulling us toward material things or superficial achievements that do not bring lasting fulfillment. By reflecting on your desires, you can ask yourself if they are truly aligned with your values or if they are distractions that keep you from your higher purpose. When you understand what drives your desires, you can make more intentional choices about where to direct your energy. Understanding yourself also involves recognizing your fears. Fear often holds us back from pursuing our goals or living authentically. Marcus Aurelius wrote that fear is a product of the mind, and once you understand it, you can begin to overcome it. By facing your fears head-on, you can break free from the limitations they impose on you. This requires self-awareness, the courage to confront what scares you, and the willingness to take action despite your fears. Another crucial part of self-understanding is learning to detach from external outcomes. Marcus Aurelius taught that while you can control your actions, the results are often out of your hands. When you understand this, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to control everything around you. Instead, you focus on doing your best in each moment, knowing that the outcome is not what defines you. This detachment allows you to move through life with greater ease and confidence, trusting in your ability to adapt to whatever comes your way. Self-understanding also requires recognizing the stories you tell yourself. We all have narratives that shape our view of the world and ourselves. These stories can either empower us or hold us back. Marcus Aurelius urged reflection on these inner narratives. Are they rooted in truth, or are they limiting beliefs you've accepted without question? By understanding and rewriting these stories, you can break free from self-imposed limitations and create a narrative that aligns with your true potential. One of the most profound aspects of understanding yourself is realizing that you are not your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind is like a river, constantly flowing with thoughts and ideas, but you do not have to be swept away by them. By observing your thoughts without attaching to them, you gain clarity and insight into your inner world. This practice of mindfulness allows you to better understand the nature of your mind and how it influences your actions and emotions. Another important lesson from Marcus Aurelius is understanding the power of choice. Every day, you are faced with countless decisions, both big and small. Understanding yourself means being aware of the choices you make and why you make them. Are your decisions driven by fear, desire, or ego, or are they aligned with your values and goals? When you understand the motivation behind your choices, you can make more intentional decisions that lead to a life of purpose and fulfillment. Understanding yourself also means recognizing your habits, both good and bad. Habits shape your life, and often they operate unconsciously. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of cultivating good habits through self-discipline and reflection. By understanding your habits, you can identify which ones are helping you grow and which ones are holding you back. This awareness allows you to consciously choose habits that support your well-being and personal development. Another key aspect of self-understanding is acknowledging the role of failure in your life. Marcus Aurelius believed that failure is an inevitable part of the human experience, but it is also one of the greatest teachers. By understanding how you react to failure, you can shift your perspective on it. Instead of seeing failure as a reflection of your worth, you can view it as an opportunity for growth and learning. This understanding helps you approach challenges with resilience and optimism. Understanding yourself also involves recognizing the impact of external influences on your thoughts and actions. Marcus Aurelius was deeply aware of how societal pressures, cultural norms, and the opinions of others can shape our beliefs and behaviors. By understanding these influences, you can begin to question whether they align with your true self, or if they are simply conditioning you've accepted. This self-awareness allows you to live more authentically, making choices that are true to who you are rather than what others expect of you. Another important part of self-understanding is learning to embrace impermanence. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the fleeting nature of life, reminding himself that everything is temporary. This understanding helps you let go of attachment to things, people, and outcomes, allowing you to live with more peace and acceptance. When you understand that nothing lasts forever, you appreciate the present moment more fully and release the fear of loss that often holds you back. Self-understanding also requires recognizing your strengths. While it's important to acknowledge your weaknesses, it's equally important to understand your unique gifts and talents. Marcus Aurelius believed that each person has a unique role to play in the world, and understanding your strengths allows you to fulfill that role more effectively. When you know what you're good at, you can use those strengths to contribute to the world in meaningful ways, building confidence and a sense of purpose. Another aspect of understanding yourself is learning to balance ambition with contentment. Marcus Aurelius recognized the importance of striving for excellence, but he also understood the danger of being consumed by ambition. When you understand your ambitions, you can pursue them with a sense of balance, knowing that while it's important to work toward your goals, true contentment comes from within. This understanding allows you to remain grounded and present, even as you pursue your dreams. Understanding yourself also means being aware of your inner critic. Marcus Aurelius knew that we are often our own harshest critics, constantly judging ourselves for our mistakes and shortcomings. But self-criticism only weakens you if it is not tempered with compassion. By understanding the voice of your inner critic, you can begin to challenge it and replace it with self-compassion and encouragement. This shift in mindset helps you build resilience and self-confidence, allowing you to grow without being weighed down by negative self-judgment. Another important part of self-understanding is recognizing your purpose. Marcus Aurelius believed that each person has a unique purpose in life, and understanding that purpose is key to living with meaning and fulfillment. This doesn't mean you have to have all the answers, but it does mean reflecting on what brings you joy, what you are passionate about, and how you can use your strengths to contribute to the greater good. When you understand your purpose, you are more focused, motivated, and resilient in the face of challenges. Understanding yourself requires patience. Marcus Aurelius knew that self-awareness is not something that happens overnight. It's a lifelong process of reflection, growth, and learning. You will continue to evolve and change, and with that comes a deeper understanding of who you are. Be patient with yourself as you go through this process. Each day brings new insights and opportunities for growth. By committing to this journey of self-understanding, you create a foundation for a life of wisdom, purpose, and peace. As we delve deeper into understanding ourselves and the nature of our thoughts, there is one obstacle that often stands in the way of personal growth and fulfillment: the fear of failure. It is a powerful force that can hold you back, cloud your decisions, and keep you from taking the necessary risks to evolve. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, emphasized that this fear is a product of our minds and can be overcome. By learning how to break free from the fear of failure, you unlock your potential and move forward with courage, not hesitation. Fear of failure is rooted in the belief that our worth is tied to outcomes. This belief convinces us that making mistakes or falling short in our endeavors reflects poorly on who we are. Epictetus taught that failure is simply an event, not a definition of the self. When you understand that failure does not diminish your intrinsic value, you can begin to detach from the fear that paralyzes you. This shift in perspective allows you to see failure as a part of life's process, not something to avoid at all costs. The fear of failure often stems from a fear of judgment. We worry about how others will perceive us if we fail. Epictetus reminds us that we have no control over the opinions of others, and their judgments should not dictate our actions. By detaching from the need for approval, you free yourself to take risks and pursue your goals without the burden of what others might think. This kind of mental freedom is essential for breaking the chains of fear and moving forward with confidence. One way to overcome the fear of failure is to change your relationship with mistakes. Epictetus emphasized that failure is not a final outcome, but a learning experience. When you view mistakes as opportunities for growth, you no longer fear them. Instead, you embrace them as necessary steps on the path to success. This mindset shift transforms failure from something to dread into something that empowers you to improve, refine, and adapt. Growth happens through trial and error, not through avoiding mistakes. Another key teaching from Epictetus is the understanding that the only true failure is inaction. Failing to act out of fear of failure is, in itself, a form of failure. When you allow fear to keep you from pursuing your goals, you rob yourself of the opportunity to learn, grow, and succeed. By recognizing that doing nothing is a greater failure than trying and falling short, you can begin to take action without fear. Action leads to progress, while inaction leads to regret. Breaking free from the fear of failure also requires you to let go of perfectionism. The belief that you must always succeed, or that anything less than perfection is unacceptable, keeps you trapped in fear. Epictetus taught that perfection is not attainable, nor is it necessary for a fulfilling life. By releasing the need for perfection, you allow yourself to be human, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. This release brings freedom, enabling you to take action with the understanding that imperfection is part of the journey. A common reason people fear failure is because they associate it with shame or embarrassment. Epictetus reminds us that emotions like shame are within our control. They arise not from the events themselves, but from how we interpret them. If you view failure as a natural part of growth, there is no room for shame. When you change your internal narrative around failure, you no longer attach negative emotions to it. Instead, you see it as a stepping stone toward greater wisdom and success. One of the most practical ways to overcome the fear of failure is by setting realistic expectations. Epictetus often spoke of the importance of understanding what is within your control and what is not. Failure often occurs when we set goals based on things outside our control, such as the actions of others or external circumstances. By setting expectations based on what you can control, you reduce the fear of failure because your success is dependent on your own efforts, not on unpredictable factors. Epictetus also emphasized the importance of resilience in overcoming the fear of failure. Life is unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. The key is not to avoid failure, but to develop the resilience to bounce back from it. When you cultivate resilience, you view failure as temporary and manageable. You learn to recover quickly, adapt, and continue moving forward, knowing that each failure brings you closer to success. Another way to break free from the fear of failure is by embracing uncertainty. Epictetus taught that life is full of uncertainty, and the attempt to control everything is futile. The fear of failure often arises from the desire to control outcomes. But when you accept that uncertainty is a natural part of life, you stop trying to predict or control the future. This acceptance allows you to act without fear, trusting that whatever happens, you have the strength and wisdom to handle it. Overcoming the fear of failure also requires you to practice patience. Success doesn't happen overnight, and neither does personal growth. Epictetus believed that true mastery comes through persistent effort over time. When you are patient with yourself, you no longer expect immediate results, and you become more accepting of failure as part of the process. This patience allows you to stay focused on your long-term goals, rather than being discouraged by short-term setbacks. One of the most powerful tools for overcoming the fear of failure is self-compassion. Epictetus taught that we should treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, especially in moments of difficulty. When you approach failure with self-compassion, you stop punishing yourself for falling short. Instead, you offer yourself the same encouragement and support that you would offer a friend. This shift in mindset helps you move past failure without being weighed down by guilt or self-blame. Epictetus also believed that part of overcoming the fear of failure is recognizing that failure is often a matter of perspective. What one person views as a failure, another might see as a valuable experience. By shifting your perspective, you can reframe failure as a necessary part of your journey. This reframing allows you to see the lessons hidden within each setback, turning what could have been a discouragement into a moment of growth and insight. Another aspect of breaking free from the fear of failure is learning to detach from outcomes. Epictetus taught that we are responsible for our actions, not the results. When you focus on the effort rather than the outcome, you reduce the pressure to succeed and allow yourself to enjoy the process. This detachment from results frees you from the fear of failure because your sense of accomplishment is no longer tied to external validation, but to the integrity of your efforts. Understanding that failure is temporary is another important teaching from Epictetus. Failure can feel overwhelming in the moment, but it is never permanent unless you allow it to be. Each failure is just one moment in time, and it does not define your entire journey. By remembering that failure is temporary, you can move forward with resilience, knowing that each setback is an opportunity for growth, not the end of your path. Another way to overcome the fear of failure is by breaking your goals into smaller, manageable steps. Epictetus emphasized the importance of taking action, no matter how small, toward your goals. When you break down your larger goals into smaller steps, the fear of failure diminishes because each step feels achievable. This incremental progress builds confidence and momentum, allowing you to move forward without the paralyzing fear of failing at a larger task. Epictetus also taught that humility is essential in overcoming the fear of failure. When you are humble, You recognize that failure is a part of being human and that it does not diminish your worth. Humility allows you to accept failure with grace without letting it damage your self-esteem. This mindset shift helps you view failure as a normal and expected part of the learning process, rather than something to fear or avoid. Another powerful lesson from Epictetus is that you are not defined by your failures. Many people fear failure because they believe it reflects who they are as a person. But Epictetus teaches that your worth is not tied to external outcomes. You are not your mistakes or your setbacks. When you separate your identity from your failures, you free yourself to take risks and pursue your goals without fear of being defined by the results. To break free from the fear of failure, it's also important to surround yourself with a supportive community. Epictetus emphasized the importance of relationships in shaping our mindset. When you have people in your life who encourage you, support your growth, and remind you of your worth, the fear of failure becomes less daunting. A supportive community helps you see failure as a shared human experience, not something to be ashamed of. Another key teaching from Epictetus is the importance of self-awareness in overcoming fear. When you understand your thoughts and emotions, you can identify when fear is holding you back. Self-awareness allows you to recognize the patterns of thinking that lead to fear, such as focusing too much on worst-case scenarios or being overly critical of yourself. By cultivating self-awareness, you can interrupt these patterns and replace them with thoughts that empower you to take action despite the fear. Epictetus also believed that breaking free from the fear of failure requires embracing vulnerability. Failure often feels like a risk because it exposes us to judgment and criticism, but vulnerability is a source of strength, not weakness. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you open yourself up to new possibilities and experiences. This openness allows you to grow in ways that would not be possible if you remained hidden behind the fear of failure. Another way to overcome the fear of failure is by practicing gratitude. Epictetus taught that gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. When you focus on what you are grateful for, the fear of failure diminishes because you are no longer fixated on what could go wrong. Gratitude helps you appreciate the journey, including the challenges and setbacks, as part of a life rich with experiences and opportunities for growth. One of the most important teachings from Epictetus is that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. To break free from the fear of failure, you must cultivate the courage to take action even when you are afraid. Courage allows you to move forward, knowing that failure is possible, but trusting in your ability to learn, adapt, and grow from each experience. This is the path to true freedom, living a life guided by your values, not by the fear of what might go wrong. Having learned how to break free from the fear of failure, it's time to address another obstacle that often holds people back: criticism. Criticism can be painful, and for many, it's easy to let others' opinions shake your confidence and create self-doubt. Yet, according to Stoicism, there is a way to accept criticism without allowing it to undermine your sense of self. Criticism, when approached through Stoic principles, can be transformed into a tool for growth, rather than something to fear or resent. The Stoics believed that criticism is neither inherently good nor bad. It is neutral. What matters is how you respond to it. When someone criticizes you, it is their perception, not necessarily the truth. Stoicism teaches that you are in control of how you interpret and react to external opinions. This understanding immediately shifts the power from the critic to you. The critic's words don't have the ability to hurt you unless you allow them to. One of the first steps in handling criticism is separating the constructive from the destructive. Constructive criticism, when given thoughtfully, is meant to help you grow and improve. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, often comes from a place of malice or insecurity. Stoicism teaches you to recognize the difference. When you approach criticism with this discernment, you can filter out the noise and focus on the feedback that genuinely helps you grow. In facing criticism, Epictetus would remind us that we should not be overly concerned with others' opinions of us. What truly matters is whether we are living in alignment with our values. When you are clear on who you are and what you stand for, criticism loses its sting. You know that external opinions do not define you. This inner clarity is a source of confidence, allowing you to stand firm even when others try to bring you down. Another Stoic practice in dealing with criticism is emotional detachment. Criticism often triggers an emotional response, whether it's anger, defensiveness, or sadness. But Stoicism teaches that emotions are fleeting and should not control your actions. When you detach from the initial emotional reaction, you gain the ability to respond calmly and thoughtfully. This detachment allows you to assess whether the criticism is valid without becoming defensive or reactive. In Marcus Aurelius's writings, he often emphasized the importance of humility. Humility plays a key role in accepting criticism. When you approach life with humility, you acknowledge that you are not perfect and that there is always room for improvement. Humility allows you to listen to criticism without feeling attacked. Instead of seeing it as an assault on your character, you view it as an opportunity to learn and grow. One powerful Stoic technique for accepting criticism is to ask yourself, is there truth in this? Even if the criticism stings, there may be a lesson hidden within it. By reflecting on the critique objectively, you can extract valuable insights that may help you improve. This requires self-awareness and a willingness to examine yourself honestly. When you are open to learning from criticism, you turn it into a tool for personal development. At the same time, it's important to recognize that not all criticism is fair or accurate. Stoicism teaches you to be discerning, understanding that some criticism reflects more about the person giving it than about you. If someone criticizes you unfairly, it is often a reflection of their own insecurities or frustrations. By recognizing this, you can avoid internalizing unfair criticism and remain confident in who you are. Another key Stoic principle is focusing on what is within your control. You cannot control whether people criticize you, but you can control how you respond. When you accept that criticism is inevitable, you stop fearing it. Instead, you prepare yourself mentally for how you will handle it. This mindset shifts you from a place of powerlessness to one of control. You become the master of your own reactions, rather than being at the mercy of others' opinions. Stoicism also teaches that it's important not to take criticism personally. Often, criticism is not about you as a person, but about a specific behavior or action. By depersonalizing criticism, you avoid the trap of self-doubt. You learn to separate your sense of self-worth from the critique, understanding that one criticism does not define your character or abilities. This helps you maintain your confidence, even when receiving negative feedback. When receiving criticism, another Stoic practice is gratitude. It may seem counterintuitive, but criticism, especially when constructive, is a gift. It offers you a perspective that you may not have considered. By approaching criticism with gratitude, you shift your mindset from defensiveness to openness. You start to see criticism as a necessary part of growth and improvement, rather than something to avoid or resist. In addition to gratitude, Stoicism encourages patience in responding to criticism. When you react too quickly, you are more likely to respond emotionally rather than thoughtfully. Stoicism teaches the value of taking a moment to reflect before replying. This pause allows you to process the criticism fully, ensuring that your response is measured and aligned with your values. Patience gives you the space to respond with wisdom rather than with a reactive impulse. Epictetus emphasized the importance of understanding the perspective of the person offering criticism. When you put yourself in their shoes, you may gain insight into why they feel the way they do. This perspective-taking helps you respond with empathy rather than defensiveness. It also allows you to address any underlying concerns that may have prompted the criticism in the first place. While it is important to listen to criticism, Stoicism also teaches that you must stay true to yourself. If the criticism contradicts your values or principles, you are not obligated to change yourself to please others. Criticism should never lead you to compromise your integrity. By staying grounded in your values, you ensure that you are not swayed by every opinion or critique that comes your way. Another Stoic principle is the idea that self-doubt often arises from caring too much about what others think. Stoicism teaches that your sense of self-worth should come from within, not from external validation. When you place too much importance on others' opinions, you become vulnerable to self-doubt whenever you receive criticism. By cultivating inner confidence and focusing on your own standards, you become less reliant on external approval. In handling criticism, Stoicism encourages you to remain calm. Criticism can be unsettling, but reacting with anger or frustration only escalates the situation. By remaining calm, you demonstrate self-control and resilience. Calmness allows you to respond with clarity and grace, even when the criticism feels harsh or unfair. This Stoic practice of emotional regulation strengthens your ability to navigate difficult feedback without letting it shake your confidence. Another important aspect of accepting criticism without self-doubt is practicing self-compassion. Criticism can trigger feelings of inadequacy, but Stoicism teaches that you must treat yourself with kindness, even in moments of failure or imperfection. By practicing self-compassion, you remind yourself that making mistakes is part of being human. This mindset helps you avoid spiraling into self-doubt and instead encourages you to focus on how you can improve going forward. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of not dwelling on criticism. Once you have considered the feedback and made any necessary adjustments, it's important to move on. Dwelling on criticism only fuels self-doubt and prevents you from taking action. Stoicism teaches you to let go of what is no longer useful and to focus on the present moment. This practice of letting go frees you from the mental burden of overthinking criticism. Another key teaching from Epictetus is that you should never allow criticism to affect your self-respect. Criticism, even when valid, does not diminish your worth as a person. Stoicism encourages you to maintain a strong sense of self-respect, regardless of external opinions. When you have self-respect, you can accept criticism without internalizing it. You remain confident in your abilities and values, knowing that criticism is simply part of the learning process. Accepting criticism without self-doubt also requires you to embrace vulnerability. Stoicism teaches that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength. By being open to feedback, you allow yourself to grow and improve. Vulnerability allows you to accept criticism without feeling defensive or ashamed. It shows that you are confident enough to acknowledge your flaws and work on them, rather than hiding behind a facade of perfection. Another powerful Stoic practice is mindfulness. When you are mindful, you are fully present in the moment, aware of your thoughts and emotions. Mindfulness helps you observe your reaction to criticism without being overwhelmed by it. By practicing mindfulness, you can catch the thoughts of self-doubt before they take root, allowing you to replace them with thoughts that support your confidence and growth. Stoicism also encourages you to view criticism as a mirror. Criticism often reflects how others perceive your actions, and this perspective can be valuable for self-reflection. By viewing criticism as a mirror, you gain insight into how your actions may be impacting others. This awareness allows you to make adjustments that align with your values, improving both your personal and professional relationships. Another key Stoic teaching is to be selective about whose criticism you take to heart. Not all feedback is created equal, and Stoicism teaches you to consider the source of the criticism. Is the person offering feedback someone whose judgment you respect? Are they coming from a place of understanding or simply projecting their own issues? By being discerning about the feedback you accept, you protect your confidence from being undermined by unqualified or ill-intentioned critics. One of the most important aspects of accepting criticism without self-doubt is self-awareness. When you understand your strengths and weaknesses, criticism becomes less threatening. You already know where you need to improve, so criticism doesn't catch you off guard. This self-awareness helps you view criticism as a tool for growth rather than a personal attack, allowing you to embrace feedback with confidence. Stoicism also teaches the importance of taking responsibility for your actions. When you are criticized, it's easy to become defensive or make excuses. But taking responsibility allows you to learn from the feedback and make meaningful changes. By owning your mistakes and being accountable for your actions, you demonstrate maturity and resilience. This approach helps you grow stronger from criticism rather than letting it erode your confidence. Another Stoic practice for handling criticism is acceptance. Epictetus taught that we must accept life as it is, including the fact that we will be criticized. By accepting that criticism is inevitable, you reduce its power over you. Acceptance allows you to remain calm and centered, even in the face of negative feedback. This Stoic mindset helps you navigate criticism with grace, knowing that it is simply part of the human experience. In addition to acceptance, Stoicism encourages you to focus on what you can learn from criticism. Every piece of feedback, whether positive or negative, offers an opportunity for growth. When you approach criticism with a learning mindset, you transform it from something to fear into something valuable. This mindset shift helps you embrace criticism as a tool for self-improvement rather than letting it trigger self-doubt. One of the key Stoic principles for accepting criticism is focusing on your own progress. Criticism can be difficult to hear, but Stoicism teaches that personal growth is the goal, not perfection. By focusing on your progress rather than on avoiding mistakes, you reduce the fear of criticism. You recognize that each critique, whether valid or not, is an opportunity to learn and grow. This focus on progress allows you to accept criticism without letting it shake your confidence. Another important Stoic practice is to maintain perspective. Criticism can feel overwhelming in the moment, but Stoicism teaches that it is just one part of your overall journey. By keeping a broader perspective, you avoid giving too much weight to any single piece of feedback. This perspective helps you see criticism as a momentary event, not something that defines your worth or abilities. Maintaining this perspective allows you to stay confident and grounded, even when faced with negative feedback. Stoicism teaches the importance of resilience in handling criticism. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks, including criticism, without losing your sense of self. By cultivating resilience, you develop the strength to accept feedback, make necessary adjustments, and move forward with confidence. This Stoic practice ensures that criticism becomes a stepping stone on your path to growth, rather than a source of self-doubt. With resilience, you embrace criticism as part of the journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. As you have now learned to embrace criticism without letting it undermine your self-worth, the next important step is learning to stop seeking validation from others. The need for external approval often leads to insecurity, as your confidence becomes dependent on how others view you. Epictetus and the Stoics believed that true confidence and self-assurance come from within, not from the fleeting judgments of others. Breaking free from the constant need for validation is essential for cultivating inner strength and living authentically. The need for validation is rooted in a desire for acceptance and belonging, but when this need controls you, it keeps you in a cycle of insecurity. Stoicism teaches that you are not defined by what others think of you. Rather, you are defined by how closely you live according to your own values. The moment you stop seeking validation from external sources, you begin to live with more clarity and purpose. Your actions become aligned with who you truly are, rather than being shaped by the expectations of others. When you constantly seek validation, you give away your power. Your self-worth becomes something that others control, making you vulnerable to their opinions and judgments. Stoicism teaches that your worth is something that cannot be given or taken away by others. It is something inherent in you, and only you have the authority to determine it. By cultivating inner confidence, you reclaim your power and free yourself from the need for external approval. Another danger of seeking validation is that it leads to a life of compromise. When you are constantly trying to please others or gain their approval, you start to make choices that may not align with your true desires or values. Over time, this creates a disconnect between who you are and who you pretend to be. Stoicism encourages you to live authentically, making decisions based on your principles rather than on the opinions of others. This authenticity is the foundation of true confidence, as it allows you to be yourself without fear of rejection. Inner confidence comes from knowing that you are enough as you are. You don't need others to validate your worth because you understand that your value is not conditional. Stoicism teaches that true self-assurance is about being comfortable in your own skin, regardless of how others perceive you. This inner comfort allows you to move through life with a sense of calm and peace, unbothered by whether others approve of your choices or not. The Stoics believed that focusing on what is within your control is key to developing inner confidence. Other people's opinions are not within your control, and trying to shape how they see you is a futile effort. By focusing on what you can control, your actions, your thoughts, and your values, you strengthen your sense of self. This shift in focus allows you to build confidence from within, rather than relying on external feedback to feel secure. When you stop seeking validation, you begin to trust yourself more deeply. You no longer need others to tell you that you are doing well, because you know within yourself that you are on the right path. This self-trust is an essential component of inner confidence, as it allows you to move forward with certainty, even when others doubt you. The more you trust yourself, the less you need external validation to feel confident in your decisions. One of the greatest benefits of letting go of the need for validation is the freedom it brings. When you are no longer seeking approval from others, you are free to live life on your own terms. You are no longer constrained by the expectations of others, and this freedom allows you to explore your true potential. Stoicism teaches that this kind of freedom is essential for living a fulfilling life, as it enables you to pursue your goals without being held back by the fear of judgment. Letting go of validation also helps you become more resilient. When your confidence is based on external approval, any criticism or disapproval can easily shake your sense of self. But when you cultivate inner confidence, you become more resilient in the face of setbacks or negative opinions. You no longer take rejection personally because you understand that your worth is not tied to others' approval. This resilience allows you to stay focused on your goals, even when the path becomes difficult. Another important aspect of cultivating inner confidence is learning to accept yourself fully flaws and all. The need for validation often stems from a belief that you are not enough as you are, that you need others to confirm your worth. But Stoicism teaches that self-acceptance is the key to confidence. When you accept yourself, including your imperfections, you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to others. This self-acceptance creates a strong foundation of confidence that is not easily shaken by external opinions. One of the reasons people seek validation is because they fear rejection. But Stoicism teaches that rejection is not something to fear. When you stop seeking validation, you accept that not everyone will agree with you or approve of your choices, and that's okay. Rejection is simply part of life, and it doesn't define your worth. By accepting this, you free yourself from the fear of rejection and are able to pursue your goals with greater courage and confidence. Another Stoic principle that helps in cultivating inner confidence is understanding the concept of living in accordance with nature. This means living in harmony with your true self, not trying to mold yourself to fit others' expectations. When you live authentically, you feel more confident in who you are because you are no longer trying to be someone you're not. This authenticity is what attracts genuine connections and opportunities, allowing you to build a life that reflects your true values and desires. When you stop seeking validation, you also stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is a trap that erodes confidence, as it places your worth in relation to others rather than in yourself. Stoicism teaches that each person's path is unique, and comparing yourself to others only distracts you from your own journey. By focusing on your own growth and progress, you cultivate a sense of self-assurance that is rooted in your own achievements, not in how you measure up to others. The need for validation often creates anxiety, as you constantly worry about how others perceive you. Stoicism teaches that this kind of anxiety is unnecessary and unhelpful. When you stop seeking validation, you let go of the constant need for approval and the anxiety that comes with it. Instead, you focus on being present in the moment, confident in the knowledge that you are living in alignment with your values. This sense of presence and calm is the hallmark of true inner confidence. Another important aspect of inner confidence is being comfortable with making mistakes. The fear of making mistakes often drives people to seek validation as they look to others to confirm that they are on the right track. But Stoicism teaches that mistakes are part of the learning process and do not diminish your worth. When you accept that making mistakes is natural, you stop needing others to reassure you that you are doing well. This acceptance allows you to take risks and pursue your goals without the fear of failure. Letting go of validation also helps you develop a stronger sense of purpose. When you are constantly seeking approval from others, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters to you. You start to make decisions based on what you think will please others, rather than on what aligns with your own values. Stoicism teaches that living with purpose is essential for inner confidence. When you are clear on your purpose, you no longer need others to validate your choices because you know that you are living in alignment with your true self. Another benefit of stopping the search for validation is that you become more independent. When you rely on others for validation, you give away your independence and become dependent on their approval for your sense of self-worth. But when you cultivate inner confidence, you become more self-reliant. You trust your own judgment and make decisions based on your own values and beliefs. This independence allows you to live with more freedom and confidence, knowing that you are in control of your own life. When you stop seeking validation, you also become more confident in your abilities. The need for validation often stems from self-doubt, as you look to others to confirm that you are capable. But Stoicism teaches that true confidence comes from within, from knowing your own strengths and trusting in your abilities. When you stop seeking external approval, you begin to rely on your own assessment of your skills and talents. This self-reliance allows you to pursue your goals with greater determination and confidence. Another important lesson from Stoicism is the importance of accepting that not everyone will like you, and that's okay. The need for validation often comes from a desire to be liked by everyone, but this is an impossible goal. Stoicism teaches that it's more important to be respected for living in alignment with your values than to be liked by everyone. When you accept that not everyone will agree with or appreciate you, you free yourself from the need to constantly seek approval, allowing you to live more authentically. The pursuit of validation often leads to stress as you try to meet the expectations of others. But Stoicism teaches that inner peace comes from living according to your own values, not from trying to please everyone. When you stop seeking validation, you let go of the pressure to conform to others' standards. This release of pressure allows you to live with greater peace and confidence, knowing that you are following your own path rather than trying to fit into someone else's mold. Another important aspect of cultivating inner confidence is learning to trust your intuition. The need for validation often causes people to second-guess themselves as they look to others for guidance. But Stoicism teaches that your intuition is a powerful tool that can guide you in making decisions. When you trust your intuition, you no longer need others to validate your choices. You become more confident in your ability to navigate life's challenges, knowing that you have the inner wisdom to make the right decisions. When you stop seeking validation, you also stop trying to prove yourself to others. The need for validation often leads people to constantly seek achievements or accomplishments to impress others. But Stoicism teaches that true confidence comes from within, not from external accomplishments. When you stop trying to prove yourself, you begin to pursue goals that are meaningful to you, rather than those that will impress others. This shift in focus allows you to live with more purpose and fulfillment. Letting go of validation also helps you develop stronger, more authentic relationships. When you are constantly seeking approval, your relationships become based on what you think others want from you, rather than on who you truly are. Stoicism teaches that genuine relationships are built on mutual respect and authenticity. When you stop seeking validation, you are able to show up in your relationships as your true self, creating deeper and more meaningful connections. Another benefit of stopping the search for validation is that you become more focused on your own journey. The need for validation often causes people to get caught up in what others are doing or achieving, leading to feelings of envy or inadequacy. But Stoicism teaches that each person's path is unique, and comparing yourself to others only distracts you from your own growth. When you stop seeking validation, you are able to focus on your own goals and progress, without being sidetracked by the opinions or achievements of others. One of the most important lessons in cultivating inner confidence is learning to let go of perfectionism. The need for validation often drives people to seek perfection, believing that they must be flawless to be worthy of approval. But Stoicism teaches that perfection is an unrealistic goal, and that true confidence comes from accepting yourself as you are, imperfections and all. When you let go of perfectionism, you free yourself from the constant need to prove your worth to others, allowing you to live with more ease and confidence. Stoicism teaches that the only validation you truly need is your own. When you stop seeking external approval, you begin to value your own opinion of yourself above all else. This self-validation is the key to inner confidence, as it allows you to live authentically and make decisions that align with your values, regardless of what others think. By cultivating this inner confidence, you free yourself from the constraints of external validation, allowing you to live with greater freedom, peace, and self-assurance. As you've learned to free yourself from the need for external validation, it's time to address another powerful and often destructive emotion: anger. Anger and resentment can fester within, clouding judgment and robbing you of inner peace. The Stoics believed that while anger is a natural human response, it should not control us. Through careful practice and reflection, Stoicism offers strategies to manage and ultimately release anger, replacing it with calm and clarity. The journey to mastering anger is one that leads to greater inner peace, but it requires discipline and self-awareness. One of the first lessons Stoicism teaches is that anger arises from unmet expectations. When reality does not align with how we think things should be, frustration builds, leading to anger. By adjusting your expectations and accepting that the world will not always meet them, you take the first step toward diffusing anger. This shift in mindset helps you see situations more clearly, not through the lens of what you wanted to happen, but through the reality of what is. This clarity brings a sense of control and reduces the emotional charge that fuels anger. Epictetus reminds us that the things that make us angry are often outside our control. Whether it's the actions of others, external events, or past mistakes, these are all things we cannot change. Instead of wasting energy on frustration, Stoicism teaches that we should focus on how we react. This shift in focus from the external to the internal empowers you to regain control over your emotions. By realizing that anger only harms your own peace, you begin to let go of the need to fight against what you cannot change. Another key Stoic insight is that anger rarely helps solve problems. When we act out of anger, we often escalate conflicts rather than resolve them. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that responding to anger with anger only adds more fuel to the fire. Instead, he encouraged patience and thoughtful reflection before reacting. Taking a pause in moments of anger allows you to calm your mind and approach the situation with a clearer, more rational perspective. This pause is where your power lies, as it prevents you from being a slave to your emotions. In Stoicism, one of the most important practices for managing anger is recognizing that other people are acting based on their own beliefs and perceptions. When someone angers you, it's often because their actions contradict your values or expectations. But by understanding that they are acting according to their own internal logic, you can begin to view their actions with more compassion and less judgment. This understanding softens the sting of anger and opens the door to forgiveness and empathy, reducing resentment over time. The Stoics also teach that anger is often rooted in pride. When our ego is bruised, we lash out in anger to defend our sense of self-worth. But Stoicism reminds us that true strength comes not from defending our pride, but from maintaining control over our reactions. By letting go of pride, you free yourself from the need to react to every slight or insult. This detachment from ego allows you to remain calm in the face of provocation, preserving your peace of mind and demonstrating inner strength. Another powerful Stoic practice is self-reflection. Anger often stems from unexamined thoughts or emotions. By regularly reflecting on your actions and emotions, you become more aware of the triggers that lead to anger. This self-awareness helps you identify patterns and gives you the opportunity to address underlying issues before they escalate into full-blown anger. Regular self-reflection allows you to approach situations with more mindfulness and less emotional reactivity, preventing resentment from taking root. One of the reasons anger can be so consuming is that it often feels justified. When we feel wronged, anger seems like a natural response. But Stoicism teaches that holding on to anger only prolongs your suffering. Even if your anger is justified, it does more harm to you than to the person who wronged you. By releasing the need for justice or revenge, you free yourself from the emotional burden that anger creates. This release brings a sense of peace and allows you to move forward without being weighed down by resentment. Another Stoic lesson for managing anger is understanding the impermanence of all things. Whatever is causing your anger will eventually pass. By keeping this in mind, you can put your frustration into perspective and realize that it is temporary. This understanding helps you let go of the intensity of the emotion, knowing that in time, the situation will resolve or fade. This focus on impermanence reduces the emotional grip that anger has and makes it easier to release. In dealing with anger, the Stoics also emphasize the importance of focusing on what truly matters. When we get caught up in anger, it often distracts us from our larger goals and values. By staying grounded in what is most important to you, you can avoid being consumed by petty frustrations or temporary setbacks. This focus helps you maintain a broader perspective, making it easier to let go of anger and redirect your energy toward more meaningful pursuits. Another important Stoic strategy for managing anger is cultivating empathy. When you understand that everyone is dealing with their own struggles and challenges, it becomes easier to approach others with compassion rather than judgment. This shift in perspective helps you see beyond your own frustration and recognize the humanity in others. By practicing empathy, you reduce the tendency to hold on to anger and open yourself to forgiveness and understanding. Stoicism also teaches the value of practicing gratitude as a way to counter anger and resentment. When you focus on what you are grateful for, it becomes harder to hold on to feelings of frustration. Gratitude shifts your mindset from one of lack or injustice to one of abundance and appreciation. This practice helps you put challenges and irritations into perspective, making it easier to let go of anger and focus on the positive aspects of your life. Another key Stoic teaching is that anger often arises from a desire for control. When things don't go the way we want, we become frustrated. But Stoicism reminds us that the only thing we truly control is our own response. By letting go of the need to control external events, you free yourself from the frustration that fuels anger. This detachment allows you to approach life with more flexibility and resilience, reducing the likelihood of being overwhelmed by anger or resentment. One of the most practical Stoic strategies for managing anger is changing your internal dialogue. When you find yourself becoming angry, pause and ask yourself if the situation truly warrants your emotional reaction. Often, anger is a response to something minor that we've blown out of proportion in our minds. By questioning your initial reaction, you can deflate the emotional intensity and approach the situation with more calm and rationality. Another Stoic principle for dealing with anger is recognizing that holding on to resentment is a form of self-punishment. When you hold on to anger, it eats away at your peace of mind and keeps you trapped in a cycle of negativity. Stoicism teaches that forgiveness is not about letting the other person off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of resentment. By choosing to forgive, you reclaim your peace and release the hold that anger has over you. In managing anger, the Stoics also emphasize the importance of focusing on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. When you become angry, it's easy to get stuck in a loop of frustration, constantly replaying the situation in your mind. But this only reinforces the anger. Instead, Stoicism encourages you to focus on finding a solution or taking constructive action. By shifting your energy toward resolution, you break free from the grip of anger and channel your efforts into something productive. Another powerful Stoic practice for dealing with anger is the use of premeditatio malorum, or preparing for adversity. This practice involves mentally preparing yourself for potential challenges or irritations before they happen. By anticipating difficulties, you are less likely to be caught off guard when they arise, and your emotional response will be more measured. This preparation helps you stay calm in the face of provocation, reducing the likelihood of reacting with anger. Stoicism also teaches that anger often arises from misunderstanding. When we assume that others are acting with malice or intent to harm, we become angry. But often their actions are simply a result of miscommunication or different perspectives. By seeking to understand before reacting, you can diffuse anger and prevent it from escalating. This approach encourages open dialogue and fosters mutual understanding, helping to resolve conflicts before they lead to resentment. Another important lesson from Stoicism is that anger clouds your judgment. When you are angry, it's difficult to think clearly or make rational decisions. By recognizing this, you can take steps to calm yourself before taking any action. Whether it's through deep breathing, taking a walk, or stepping away from the situation, giving yourself time to cool down allows you to approach the problem with a clear mind. This practice helps you avoid making rash decisions that you may later regret. In managing anger, the Stoics also teach the importance of perspective. What seems like a major issue in the heat of the moment often appears trivial when viewed from a distance. By taking a step back and considering the bigger picture, you can put your anger into perspective and realize that it may not be as important as it feels. This shift in perspective helps you let go of minor frustrations and focus on what truly matters. Another Stoic strategy for dealing with anger is recognizing that it often arises from unmet desires. When we want something and don't get it, anger can flare up. But Stoicism teaches that desire is often the root of suffering. By reducing your attachment to specific outcomes, you lessen the likelihood of becoming angry when things don't go your way. This detachment allows you to remain calm and centered, even in the face of disappointment. The Stoics also teach that anger is often a response to perceived injustice. But Stoicism encourages you to question whether the situation truly warrants such a strong emotional reaction. By reflecting on the nature of justice and understanding that not everything will be fair or just in the world, you can release the need to react with anger. Instead, you focus on what you can do to make a positive difference, channeling your energy into constructive action rather than destructive emotion. In managing anger, the Stoics emphasize the importance of self-control. When you allow anger to take over, you lose control of yourself and your actions. But Stoicism teaches that true power comes from maintaining control over your emotions, no matter what challenges you face. By practicing self-discipline and emotional regulation, you strengthen your ability to remain calm in difficult situations, reducing the likelihood of being overwhelmed by anger or resentment. Another key lesson from Stoicism is the importance of letting go of grudges. Holding on to a grudge keeps you trapped in a cycle of anger and resentment, preventing you from moving forward. Stoicism teaches that forgiveness is not just for the benefit of others, but for your own peace of mind. By letting go of past hurts, you free yourself from the emotional baggage that comes with holding on to anger, allowing you to live with more peace and clarity. In dealing with anger, the Stoics also emphasize the importance of focusing on the present moment. Anger often stems from dwelling on past wrongs or worrying about future injustices. But Stoicism teaches that the present moment is all we truly have. By grounding yourself in the present, you can let go of the anger tied to the past or the future and focus on what you can control right now. This focus helps you release resentment and find peace in the here and now. Stoicism teaches that cultivating inner peace is the ultimate antidote to anger. When you are at peace with yourself and the world around you, anger has no room to take hold. By practicing mindfulness, self-reflection, and emotional regulation, you create a sense of inner calm that shields you from the turbulence of anger. This inner peace becomes your foundation, allowing you to navigate life's challenges with grace and composure, free from the destructive forces of anger and resentment. As you have explored the Stoic strategies for releasing anger and resentment, it becomes clear that there is an even deeper key to maintaining lasting peace: emotional detachment. Stoicism teaches that by practicing emotional detachment, you free yourself from the grip of external events, people's opinions, and even your own fluctuating emotions. This is not about becoming cold or indifferent, but about finding stability in a world that constantly shifts. Emotional detachment allows you to experience life fully without being controlled by it, leading to an inner peace that remains unshaken by external circumstances. One of the core principles of Stoicism is understanding that most things in life are beyond our control. Whether it's other people's actions, unexpected events, or the outcomes of our efforts, these are all things we cannot dictate. Emotional detachment helps you accept this reality without feeling powerless. Instead of allowing your emotions to rise and fall with every change, you remain steady, grounded in the understanding that your peace comes from within, not from the world outside. Emotional detachment also frees you from the pressure of constant emotional reactions. In life, we often feel obligated to react emotionally to every situation, be it joy, anger, sadness, or frustration. Stoicism teaches that these reactions are often unnecessary and can lead to turmoil. By practicing detachment, you learn to observe situations without immediately becoming emotionally involved. This creates space for clarity and thoughtful responses, allowing you to act with wisdom rather than being swept away by emotional impulses. One of the great benefits of emotional detachment is that it allows you to navigate relationships with more ease. Often, our emotional attachment to others creates unnecessary conflict and pain. When we are too emotionally invested, we place expectations on people, and when those expectations aren't met, we experience disappointment or hurt. Stoicism encourages you to care for others deeply, but without becoming overly attached to outcomes. This approach lets you love and support those around you while maintaining your inner peace, regardless of how situations unfold. Emotional detachment is also essential in dealing with loss. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, a job, or an opportunity, attachment can lead to prolonged suffering. Stoicism teaches that everything in life is temporary, and emotional detachment helps you accept this impermanence with grace. Instead of clinging to what is gone, you learn to appreciate the present moment and move forward without being burdened by the past. This acceptance of life's transience brings a sense of peace that cannot be shaken by loss. Another key aspect of emotional detachment is learning to let go of the need for control. When we are emotionally attached to specific outcomes, we often try to control situations that are beyond our power. This creates stress, anxiety, and frustration. Stoicism teaches that true peace comes from letting go of the illusion of control and focusing on what is within your influence, your actions, thoughts, and reactions. By releasing the need for control, you open yourself to the flow of life, allowing peace to emerge naturally. Emotional detachment also reduces the impact of external judgments on your sense of self. When you are too emotionally invested in how others perceive you, your confidence becomes fragile, easily shattered by criticism or disapproval. Stoicism teaches that the opinions of others are outside your control and should not define your self-worth. By detaching from the need for external validation, you build an unshakable inner confidence. This self-assurance allows you to move through the world with ease, free from the fear of judgment. Detaching emotionally from material possessions is another crucial lesson in Stoicism. We often tie our happiness and security to the things we own, our homes, cars, money, and belongings. But Stoicism teaches that true peace cannot be found in material things, as they are fleeting and can be lost at any moment. Emotional detachment helps you appreciate what you have without becoming attached to it. This mindset allows you to remain peaceful, even in the face of loss or change, because your sense of security comes from within, not from external objects. Emotional detachment also helps you manage disappointment more effectively. When you are emotionally attached to specific outcomes or plans, it's easy to feel crushed when things don't go as expected. Stoicism teaches that life is full of uncertainties, and emotional detachment helps you navigate these ups and downs with resilience. Instead of being devastated by disappointment, you learn to adapt and move forward, maintaining your peace even in challenging times. One of the most profound effects of emotional detachment is the ability to remain calm in chaotic situations. When you are not emotionally tied to every event or outcome, you can observe situations with clarity and respond rationally. This calmness allows you to handle crises and conflicts with a level head, making better decisions and reducing the likelihood of escalating the problem. In this way, emotional detachment becomes a tool for not only maintaining peace, but also for creating more effective solutions in difficult situations. In Stoicism, emotional detachment is closely linked with the concept of freedom. When you are emotionally attached, you are bound by your desires, fears, and expectations. These attachments create a form of emotional slavery, as you are constantly at the mercy of external events. Emotional detachment, however, liberates you from these chains, allowing you to experience true freedom. This freedom is not about avoiding emotions, but about choosing how and when to engage with them, rather than being controlled by them. Emotional detachment also fosters deeper self-awareness. When you detach from your emotions, you are able to observe them from a distance, gaining insight into your emotional patterns and triggers. This awareness helps you understand why certain situations provoke strong emotions and allows you to address the underlying causes. By practicing detachment, you cultivate a deeper understanding of yourself, which in turn leads to greater emotional balance and peace. Another important benefit of emotional detachment is the ability to maintain focus on your goals. When you are overly emotional, it's easy to get distracted or discouraged by setbacks. Stoicism teaches that emotional detachment helps you stay focused on what truly matters, regardless of the challenges you face. By not allowing emotions to derail your progress, you can continue working toward your goals with determination and clarity. This focus leads to greater success and fulfillment, as you are no longer swayed by temporary emotional highs and lows. Emotional detachment also enhances your ability to practice gratitude. When you are detached from specific outcomes, you are more open to appreciating life as it is, rather than constantly wishing for things to be different. This mindset shift allows you to find joy in the present moment, regardless of what is happening around you. Stoicism teaches that gratitude is a key component of inner peace, and emotional detachment helps you cultivate this gratitude by freeing you from the constant pursuit of external validation or success. Detaching emotionally from future outcomes also reduces anxiety. Much of the anxiety people experience comes from worrying about the future, what will happen, whether things will go as planned, or how situations will turn out. Stoicism teaches that the future is uncertain and that worrying about it is unproductive. By practicing emotional detachment, you learn to focus on the present moment, trusting that you will handle the future as it comes. This focus on the present reduces anxiety and brings a sense of calm and peace. One of the challenges people face in practicing emotional detachment is the fear of becoming indifferent. But Stoicism teaches that emotional detachment is not about becoming indifferent or disconnected from life. It's about caring deeply without becoming consumed by attachment. You can still care about your relationships, goals, and experiences, but without letting them dictate your emotional state. This balance allows you to engage fully with life while maintaining your inner peace, even when things don't go as expected. Emotional detachment also strengthens your ability to forgive. When you are emotionally attached to past hurts or wrongs, it's difficult to let go and move forward. Stoicism teaches that holding on to resentment only prolongs your suffering. By practicing detachment, you are able to release the emotional hold that past events have over you, making forgiveness easier. This release frees you from the burden of carrying negative emotions, allowing you to find peace and move forward without the weight of the past holding you back. Another powerful aspect of emotional detachment is the ability to remain patient in the face of adversity. When you are emotionally invested in achieving immediate results or success, it's easy to become frustrated when things don't happen quickly. Stoicism teaches that patience is essential for finding peace. Emotional detachment allows you to remain calm and patient, trusting that progress will come in its own time. This patience reduces the stress and anxiety that often come with impatience, allowing you to maintain your peace even in challenging situations. Detaching emotionally from other people's opinions also helps you develop a stronger sense of self. When you are constantly seeking approval or validation from others, your self-worth becomes dependent on their opinions. Stoicism teaches that true confidence comes from within, not from external validation. By detaching from the need for others' approval, you build a more resilient sense of self, grounded in your own values and beliefs. This inner confidence allows you to navigate life with more peace, free from the pressure of living up to others' expectations. Emotional detachment also enhances your ability to make decisions. When you are emotionally invested in specific outcomes, it's easy to make decisions based on fear, desire, or attachment. But Stoicism teaches that clear, rational decision-making is essential for living a peaceful and purposeful life. Emotional detachment allows you to approach decisions with a calm and objective mindset, free from the influence of emotional impulses. This leads to better decisions and fewer regrets, as your choices are guided by wisdom rather than by fleeting emotions. Another important lesson from Stoicism is that emotional detachment helps you accept change with grace. Life is full of changes, and many people struggle with these transitions because they are emotionally attached to the way things were. Stoicism teaches that change is a natural part of life and that resisting it only leads to suffering. By practicing emotional detachment, you learn to accept change with an open heart, knowing that your peace comes from within and is not dependent on external circumstances. In practicing emotional detachment, you also develop greater resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and disappointments, and emotional attachment often makes these experiences more difficult to bear. Stoicism teaches that resilience comes from within, and emotional detachment helps you build this resilience by freeing you from the emotional weight of these challenges. When you are not emotionally attached to specific outcomes, you are better able to adapt and recover from setbacks, maintaining your peace and focus no matter what obstacles arise. Detaching emotionally from desires also reduces feelings of dissatisfaction. Much of the frustration people experience comes from constantly wanting more success, more possessions, more recognition. Stoicism teaches that desire is a source of suffering as it creates a sense of lack and dissatisfaction. By practicing emotional detachment, You learn to let go of these desires and find contentment in the present moment. This contentment brings a deep sense of peace, as you are no longer driven by the constant need for more. Another key aspect of emotional detachment is learning to observe your emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. Stoicism teaches that emotions are natural, but they should not control your actions or decisions. By practicing detachment, you learn to observe your emotions with curiosity and understanding, rather than being swept away by them. This observation helps you gain insight into your emotional patterns, allowing you to respond to situations with greater clarity and calm. Emotional detachment also helps you cultivate a sense of inner calm that remains unshaken by external events. In life, there will always be ups and downs, successes and failures, joys and sorrows. Stoicism teaches that true peace comes from remaining steady through these fluctuations. By practicing detachment, you learn to maintain your inner calm, even in the face of external chaos. This calmness allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace, knowing that your peace comes from within and cannot be disturbed by the outside world. Emotional detachment helps you live with more freedom and authenticity. When you are not emotionally attached to specific outcomes or the opinions of others, you are free to live in alignment with your true self. This freedom allows you to pursue your goals and passions without fear of failure or rejection. It enables you to experience life fully without being held back by the emotional weight of attachment. This is the ultimate goal of Stoicism, to live with peace, purpose and freedom, unburdened by the emotional ties that so often hold us back. Having explored the profound peace that emotional detachment brings, we now turn to the challenge of reversing negative thinking. Negative thoughts can weigh us down, limit our potential, and rob us of our inner strength. Stoicism, however, provides practical tools to transform these thoughts, replacing them with positive, empowering perspectives. This transformation is not only possible but essential for building mental resilience. Through disciplined practice, you can reshape your mind, turning negativity into a force for growth and strength, rather than a source of suffering. One of the first steps in reversing negative thinking is to recognize that thoughts are not facts. Stoicism teaches that we often become trapped in negative thought patterns because we take our thoughts too seriously. Just because a thought crosses your mind does not mean it's true. By observing your thoughts without automatically believing them, you create space to question their validity. This simple act of questioning allows you to challenge the negative stories you tell yourself and begin rewriting them with more constructive and empowering narratives. Another essential Stoic practice is focusing on what is within your control. Negative thoughts often stem from frustration about things we cannot change, other people's actions, the past, or external circumstances. When you focus on what is outside your control, you feed into a sense of helplessness. But Stoicism reminds us that true power lies in how we respond to these situations. By shifting your focus to what you can control, your actions, your mindset, and your choices, you empower yourself to take positive steps forward, no matter the external challenges. Stoicism also teaches the value of reframing challenges as opportunities for growth. Negative thinking often arises when we view difficulties as setbacks or failures. But from a Stoic perspective, every challenge is an opportunity to develop strength, resilience, and wisdom. When you reframe negative situations in this way, you stop seeing them as obstacles and start seeing them as valuable lessons. This shift in perspective not only reduces negativity, but also builds your mental strength, allowing you to approach life's difficulties with confidence rather than dread. Another Stoic practice for reversing negative thinking is cultivating gratitude. Negative thoughts often arise from focusing on what you lack what has gone wrong, or what could go wrong in the future. Gratitude shifts your focus to what you have, what is going well, and the small moments of joy in your life. This shift doesn't mean ignoring difficulties, but it helps put them into perspective. By practicing gratitude regularly, you train your mind to focus on the positive aspects of your life, reducing the power of negative thoughts and fostering a sense of contentment and peace. In dealing with negative thinking, Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of living in accordance with nature. This means accepting life as it is, not as you wish it to be. Negative thoughts often arise from resistance, wishing that things were different or that people behaved in a certain way. But Stoicism teaches that resistance only creates suffering. By accepting life's natural flow, you free yourself from the frustration and disappointment that come from unmet expectations. This acceptance brings peace and helps you transform negativity into understanding and patience. One of the most powerful Stoic tools for transforming negative thoughts is self-reflection. Negative thinking often becomes habitual because we don't take the time to examine it. By regularly reflecting on your thoughts and actions, you become more aware of your negative patterns and can start to change them. Self-reflection allows you to catch negative thoughts before they spiral out of control, giving you the opportunity to replace them with more constructive and empowering perspectives. This practice builds mental strength by helping you gain control over your inner dialogue. Another important aspect of reversing negative thinking is developing the habit of self-discipline. Negative thoughts often arise from a lack of mental discipline, allowing your mind to wander into worst-case scenarios or dwell on past mistakes. Stoicism teaches that mental discipline is essential for maintaining inner peace. By training your mind to focus on what is constructive and positive, you reduce the influence of negative thoughts. This discipline doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort, you can develop the mental strength to direct your thoughts toward what serves your well-being. Stoicism also encourages you to embrace discomfort as part of life's natural process. Negative thoughts often come from a desire to avoid discomfort or pain, but Stoicism teaches that discomfort is not something to fear or resist. It is a natural part of growth. By accepting discomfort and learning to endure it with grace, you reduce the negative thoughts that arise from trying to escape or avoid difficult situations. This acceptance strengthens your mind and helps you face life's challenges with greater resilience and calm. Another key practice for transforming negative thinking is focusing on the present moment. Negative thoughts often arise from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Stoicism teaches that the only moment you have control over is the present. By grounding yourself in the here and now, you free yourself from the negative thoughts that come from regrets or fears about what might happen. This focus on the present not only reduces negativity, but also allows you to live with greater clarity and peace. In reversing negative thinking, Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of perspective. What seems like a major problem in the moment often appears minor when viewed from a broader perspective. By taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture, you can put your negative thoughts into context. This shift in perspective helps you see that most problems are temporary and not as overwhelming as they may initially seem. This practice reduces the emotional weight of negative thoughts and helps you maintain a more balanced and positive outlook. Another essential Stoic practice is learning to let go of attachment to outcomes. Negative thoughts often stem from a desire for things to go a certain way, and when they don't, frustration and disappointment follow. But Stoicism teaches that attachment to specific outcomes leads to suffering. By letting go of this attachment and accepting whatever happens with grace, you free yourself from the negativity that comes from unmet expectations. This detachment allows you to focus on the process rather than the outcome, reducing stress and fostering inner peace. In dealing with negative thinking, Stoicism also teaches the value of humility. Negative thoughts often arise from a bruised ego, feeling wronged, misunderstood, or overlooked. But Stoicism encourages you to let go of pride and recognize that you are not the center of the universe. By cultivating humility, you reduce the emotional intensity of negative thoughts and become more accepting of life's imperfections. This humility allows you to approach challenges with a calm and open mind, reducing negativity and fostering resilience. Another important Stoic practice for building mental strength is learning to embrace change. Negative thinking often arises from a fear of change or a desire to keep things the way they are. But Stoicism teaches that change is inevitable and resisting it only leads to suffering. By embracing change and seeing it as a natural part of life, you reduce the negative thoughts that come from fear of the unknown. This acceptance of change helps you remain adaptable and resilient, allowing you to face life's uncertainties with confidence. Stoicism also teaches the importance of practicing forgiveness as a way to reverse negative thinking. Holding on to grudges and resentment only keeps you trapped in a cycle of negativity. By practicing forgiveness, you free yourself from the emotional burden of past wrongs, allowing you to move forward with a lighter heart. This practice doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, but it allows you to release the negative thoughts that keep you stuck in anger or bitterness. Forgiveness fosters inner peace and mental strength, helping you let go of the past and focus on the present. Another powerful Stoic tool for transforming negative thoughts is the practice of premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization. This involves mentally preparing yourself for potential challenges or setbacks before they happen. By imagining possible difficulties, you reduce the emotional shock when they occur, making it easier to handle them with calm and resilience. This practice helps you build mental strength by reducing the fear and negativity that often accompany unexpected challenges. In reversing negative thinking, Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of patience. Negative thoughts often arise from impatience, wanting things to happen faster, or expecting immediate results. But Stoicism teaches that patience is key to finding peace and mental strength. By cultivating patience, you learn to accept the pace of life and trust that progress will come in its own time. This patience reduces the frustration and negativity that come from wanting to rush through challenges or discomfort, allowing you to remain calm and focused on the present moment. Another key aspect of reversing negative thinking is practicing self-compassion. Negative thoughts often stem from self-criticism and harsh judgment of yourself. But Stoicism teaches that you should treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. By practicing self-compassion, you reduce the negative thoughts that come from feelings of inadequacy or failure. This practice helps you build mental strength by fostering a positive and supportive inner dialogue rather than one filled with criticism and doubt. Stoicism also teaches that negative thinking can be reduced by focusing on your higher purpose. When you are clear on your purpose and values, it becomes easier to let go of the petty frustrations and worries that often fuel negative thoughts. By aligning your actions with your purpose, you gain a sense of direction and meaning, which reduces the emotional impact of setbacks or challenges. This focus on purpose helps you build mental resilience, as you are no longer swayed by temporary difficulties or distractions. Another important practice for transforming negative thinking is developing resilience through regular self-discipline. Stoicism teaches that mental strength is built through consistent effort and practice. By training your mind to focus on what is constructive and positive, You reduce the influence of negative thoughts. This self-discipline doesn't eliminate negative thoughts entirely, but it helps you develop the strength to redirect your focus when negativity arises, keeping you grounded in your values and goals. In reversing negative thinking, Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of accepting failure as part of the learning process. Negative thoughts often arise from fear of failure or disappointment in oneself for not meeting certain expectations. But Stoicism teaches that failure is not something to fear, it is an opportunity for growth. By accepting failure as a natural part of life, you reduce the negative thoughts that come from perfectionism or fear of mistakes. This acceptance fosters a growth mindset, allowing you to learn from your failures and continue moving forward with resilience. Another key Stoic practice for building mental strength is focusing on the present moment. Negative thoughts often arise from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. By grounding yourself in the present, you free yourself from the negative thoughts that come from regret or anxiety. Stoicism teaches that the present moment is the only time you have control over, and by focusing on it, you can reduce the emotional impact of negative thinking. This practice fosters a sense of calm and clarity, allowing you to approach life's challenges with greater mental strength. Stoicism teaches that building mental strength through the reversal of negative thinking requires consistency. It is not enough to practice these principles occasionally. True transformation comes from integrating them into your daily life. By consistently applying Stoic practices, you create lasting change in your mindset, reducing the power of negative thoughts and cultivating a strong, resilient mind. This consistency helps you build a foundation of mental strength that allows you to face life's challenges with confidence and peace, no matter what comes your way. Now that you've embraced the process of transforming negative thoughts and building mental strength, it's time to delve into one of the most profound Stoic practices, self-reflection. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, emphasized the immense power of looking inward. Through self-reflection, we can uncover our true motivations, correct flawed thinking, and align our lives with our values. It's a practice that fosters self-awareness, allowing us to better understand ourselves and our responses to the world. This journey inward reveals the clarity necessary for living an authentic and intentional life, free from unnecessary emotional entanglements. Self-reflection is not a passive act. It requires courage. To truly examine your thoughts, decisions, and actions means confronting aspects of yourself that may be uncomfortable. Marcus Aurelius encouraged this form of inner examination daily. He saw it as a necessary step toward personal growth, calling for us to be honest with ourselves about our weaknesses, mistakes, and areas where we can improve. By reflecting in this way, we gain a deeper understanding of who we are and what drives us, allowing for meaningful change and a clearer path forward. One of the key benefits of self-reflection is the ability to see patterns in your behavior. Often, we are so caught up in the moment that we fail to notice how certain habits and responses repeat over time. Self-reflection allows you to step back and identify these patterns. Whether it's recurring negative thoughts, habitual reactions to stress, or persistent fears, recognizing these patterns is the first step toward breaking free from them. Marcus Aurelius believed that through reflection, we can change our actions by understanding the thought processes behind them. A powerful aspect of self-reflection is learning to take responsibility for your actions. In life, it's easy to blame external circumstances or other people for our problems. But Marcus Aurelius taught that ultimate responsibility for our happiness and peace lies within us. Through self-reflection, you recognize where you may have reacted poorly or let emotions cloud your judgment. This recognition isn't about self-criticism. It's about taking ownership of your behavior and understanding that your reactions are within your control. This awareness strengthens your ability to respond more thoughtfully in the future. Self-reflection also reveals the ways in which external influences shape your thinking. Marcus Aurelius warned against being too swayed by the opinions of others, reminding us to stay grounded in our own values. Reflecting on your daily interactions can help you recognize when you are acting based on external pressure rather than your true beliefs. This process allows you to regain autonomy over your decisions, ensuring that you are living in alignment with your principles rather than being controlled by outside forces. Another key element of self-reflection is the practice of detachment. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that emotions are fleeting and should not dictate our actions. Through self-reflection, you gain the ability to observe your emotions without becoming consumed by them. This creates a sense of emotional distance, allowing you to respond to situations with greater clarity and calm. Reflecting on your emotional responses helps you identify when you are overreacting or letting emotions cloud your judgment, giving you the opportunity to approach future situations with greater emotional balance. Self-reflection is also a powerful tool for understanding your relationships. By reflecting on your interactions with others, you gain insight into how you contribute to the dynamics in your relationships. Are you acting with kindness, patience, and understanding, or are you allowing frustration or resentment to influence your behavior? Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of treating others with compassion and fairness, and self-reflection helps you assess whether you are living up to these ideals. This awareness allows you to strengthen your relationships by addressing areas where you may be falling short. In addition to improving relationships, self-reflection enhances your ability to handle adversity. Life is full of challenges, and how you respond to them defines your character. Marcus Aurelius faced immense difficulties during his reign, yet he remained steadfast in his Stoic principles. Through self-reflection, you can examine how you respond to adversity, whether you react with frustration, anger, or resilience. This awareness helps you cultivate the mental strength to face future challenges with greater composure, knowing that your response is within your control. A crucial benefit of self-reflection is the ability to refine your goals and priorities. In the busyness of daily life, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius believed in regularly examining your purpose and ensuring that your actions align with your values. By reflecting on your goals, you can assess whether you are pursuing them for the right reasons or whether you have been distracted by superficial desires. This clarity helps you focus on what is truly meaningful, allowing you to live a life that is purposeful and aligned with your deeper values. Another important aspect of self-reflection is recognizing the impermanence of life. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on the transient nature of existence, reminding himself that life is short and unpredictable. This awareness encourages you to live each day with intention, making the most of the time you have. Through self-reflection, you can assess whether you are using your time wisely or if you are being consumed by trivial pursuits. This reflection brings a sense of urgency to live authentically and purposefully, knowing that each moment is precious. Self-reflection also allows you to cultivate humility. Marcus Aurelius was one of the most powerful men of his time, yet he constantly reminded himself of his own limitations and imperfections. Through reflection, you recognize that no matter your accomplishments, you are always a work in progress. This humility keeps you grounded and open to growth, allowing you to learn from your mistakes and remain receptive to feedback. By embracing humility through self-reflection, you free yourself from the need for external validation and focus on continuous self-improvement. A practice closely tied to self-reflection is gratitude. Marcus Aurelius encouraged reflecting on the good in your life, no matter how difficult your circumstances may be. Self-reflection helps you shift your focus from what you lack to what you have. By acknowledging the blessings in your life, you cultivate a sense of contentment and reduce the negative thoughts that arise from comparison or dissatisfaction. Gratitude through reflection fosters a mindset of abundance, reminding you that peace and fulfillment come not from external achievements, but from appreciating what is already present. Self-reflection also strengthens your ability to forgive yourself and others. Marcus Aurelius recognized that holding on to grudges or regrets only prolongs suffering. Through self-reflection, you can examine where you may be holding on to past mistakes or resentments and begin the process of letting them go. This release brings a sense of peace, allowing you to move forward without the emotional baggage of the past. Forgiveness is not about excusing wrongdoing, but about freeing yourself from the negative emotions that weigh you down. Through self-reflection, you also become more attuned to your inner voice. Marcus Aurelius believed in listening to the inner guidance that comes from your core values and wisdom. By regularly reflecting on your thoughts and actions, you strengthen this inner voice, allowing it to guide your decisions more clearly. This connection to your inner voice fosters greater self-trust, helping you navigate life's challenges with confidence, knowing that you are acting in alignment with your true self. Self-reflection also enhances your sense of responsibility. Marcus Aurelius believed that each of us has a role to play in the world, and self-reflection helps you understand what that role is. By examining your strengths, passions, and values, you gain clarity on how you can contribute to the greater good. This sense of responsibility drives you to act with integrity, knowing that your actions have a ripple effect on those around you. Self-reflection helps you align your actions with a higher purpose, motivating you to live in a way that benefits not only yourself, but also others. One of the most transformative aspects of self-reflection is its ability to reveal your true desires. In a world full of distractions and societal expectations, it's easy to lose sight of what you truly want. Marcus Aurelius encouraged self-reflection as a way to cut through these distractions and connect with your genuine aspirations. By reflecting on your daily actions and long-term goals, you can assess whether they align with your true desires or whether you are pursuing them out of a sense of obligation or external pressure. This clarity empowers you to make choices that are authentic to who you are. Self-reflection also helps you develop emotional resilience. By regularly examining your thoughts and feelings, you gain a deeper understanding of your emotional triggers. This awareness allows you to prepare for challenging situations and respond with greater calm and composure. Marcus Aurelius believed that emotional resilience is essential for navigating life's ups and downs, and self-reflection is the key to building this resilience. By reflecting on past experiences, you can learn from how you handled emotional challenges and apply these lessons to future situations. Through self-reflection, you also gain a greater sense of perspective. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the vastness of the universe and the smallness of individual concerns in the grand scheme of things. This perspective helps you see your problems in a more balanced light, reducing the emotional intensity of daily frustrations. Self-reflection allows you to step back and view your challenges with a sense of detachment, reminding you that most problems are temporary and not as overwhelming as they may seem in the moment. Another important benefit of self-reflection is its ability to enhance your decision-making. When you reflect on past decisions, you gain insight into what worked, what didn't, and why. This awareness helps you make more informed choices in the future. Marcus Aurelius believed that self-reflection sharpens your judgment, by allowing you to learn from both successes and failures. By regularly reflecting on your decisions, you build the wisdom and clarity needed to navigate complex situations with confidence. Self-reflection also fosters a greater sense of inner peace. Marcus Aurelius believed that peace comes from within, and self-reflection is the practice that helps you connect with that peace. By examining your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself, which brings a sense of calm and acceptance. Self-reflection allows you to release the tension and anxiety that come from unresolved thoughts or emotions, helping you find peace in the present moment. Through self-reflection, you also cultivate greater self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of controlling your impulses and desires in order to live a virtuous life. Self-reflection helps you identify areas where you may be lacking discipline, whether in your thoughts, actions, or habits. By reflecting on these areas, you can set clear intentions for improvement and develop the self-control needed to follow through. This discipline strengthens your character and helps you live in accordance with your values. Self-reflection also enhances your ability to practice patience. Marcus Aurelius believed that patience is essential for enduring life's challenges with grace. Through self-reflection, you can examine how you react in situations that test your patience, whether it's dealing with difficult people or navigating delays in your plans. This awareness helps you develop the mental strength to remain calm and composed in the face of frustration, knowing that patience is a virtue that allows you to maintain peace in difficult circumstances. Another important aspect of self-reflection is its ability to reveal your blind spots. Marcus Aurelius understood that we all have areas of our lives where we lack awareness, and self-reflection is the tool that helps uncover these blind spots. By regularly examining your thoughts and actions, you can identify where you may be falling short or where your biases may be influencing your decisions. This awareness allows you to address these blind spots and make more informed, objective choices in the future. Self-reflection also deepens your sense of gratitude for the present moment. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the fleeting nature of time and the importance of appreciating life as it unfolds. Through self-reflection, you can assess whether you are fully present in your daily experiences or if you are distracted by worries about the past or future. This practice helps you cultivate mindfulness and appreciation for the here and now, reminding you that true peace and fulfillment are found in the present moment. Self-reflection fosters a sense of contentment. Marcus Aurelius taught that contentment comes not from external achievements, but from aligning your life with your values and accepting what you cannot control. Through self-reflection, you can assess whether you are living in alignment with your values and whether you are accepting life's challenges with grace. This practice brings a sense of inner fulfillment, knowing that you are living authentically and with purpose, regardless of external circumstances. This is the ultimate goal of self-reflection, to cultivate a deep and lasting sense of peace and contentment within yourself. Now that we have delved into the power of self-reflection and how it helps in understanding ourselves deeply, the next essential lesson in Stoicism is the cultivation of patience. In today's fast-paced world, where instant gratification is often expected, practicing patience can seem like a lost art. Yet, it is through patience that we find lasting peace, resilience, and wisdom. Patience is not passive. It is an active choice to remain calm and composed, even when circumstances challenge us. Stoicism teaches us how to cultivate this rare virtue and navigate an impatient world with grace. In a world where everything moves at lightning speed, from technology to daily tasks, the pressure to keep up can be overwhelming. But Stoicism reminds us that true strength lies in not being swept away by this urgency. Patience allows you to pause, reflect, and act with clarity instead of reacting impulsively. When you cultivate patience, you give yourself the space to make decisions that align with your values, rather than letting external pressures dictate your actions. This deliberate approach leads to more thoughtful, effective choices that enhance your sense of control and peace. One of the key aspects of practicing patience is understanding that you cannot control time or the pace at which events unfold. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot speed up or slow down time, we can control how we respond to it. By accepting the natural flow of life, you reduce frustration and anxiety over things that take longer than expected. This acceptance frees you from the constant need to rush or force outcomes, allowing you to focus on what truly matters, living in harmony with the present moment. Patience also teaches you to embrace discomfort rather than avoid it. In a world of quick fixes, it's tempting to seek out immediate solutions to avoid pain or struggle. But Stoicism encourages you to view discomfort as an opportunity for growth. When you practice patience, you develop the resilience to endure challenges without losing your sense of calm. This resilience strengthens your character, allowing you to handle future difficulties with more grace and composure. Instead of being driven by the desire for instant relief, you learn to trust that growth comes through enduring discomfort with patience. Another benefit of cultivating patience is that it helps you build stronger relationships. Impatience often leads to frustration and misunderstandings in interactions with others. When you practice patience, you become more understanding and empathetic, giving others the time and space they need to express themselves fully. This creates deeper, more meaningful connections as people feel heard and respected. Stoicism teaches that patience in relationships fosters harmony and reduces conflict, allowing you to navigate challenges with others in a more constructive way. Patience also enables you to maintain focus on long-term goals. In a society that often values quick wins, it's easy to lose sight of your larger aspirations when immediate gratification is so accessible. But Stoicism reminds us that true achievement comes through consistent, patient effort over time. When you cultivate patience, you stay committed to your long-term goals, even when progress seems slow or obstacles arise. This steady perseverance leads to greater fulfillment and success, as you remain focused on what is truly important rather than being distracted by short-term rewards. Practicing patience also reduces stress and anxiety. Impatience often arises from a desire to control outcomes or a fear that things won't happen as quickly as we want them to. But Stoicism teaches that many outcomes are beyond our control, and worrying about them only leads to unnecessary suffering. By practicing patience, you learn to release the need for immediate results and trust the process. This trust reduces the mental and emotional strain that comes from constantly trying to rush through life. Instead, you experience a sense of calm and peace, knowing that things will unfold in their own time. Another important lesson in cultivating patience is learning to wait without resentment. Often, when we are forced to wait, whether for a decision, a response, or a change, we become frustrated or angry. But Stoicism teaches that waiting is a natural part of life, and resenting it only adds to our suffering. By practicing patience, you learn to wait with grace, understanding that the passage of time is beyond your control. This mindset shift helps you maintain inner peace, even in situations that would normally trigger impatience or frustration. Patience also fosters self-discipline. In a world full of distractions and temptations, it's easy to give in to impulsive desires or take shortcuts that offer immediate satisfaction. But Stoicism teaches that true self-mastery comes from the ability to delay gratification and remain steadfast in your values. By practicing patience, you develop the self-discipline to stay focused on your goals and resist the urge to make hasty decisions. This discipline strengthens your ability to remain calm and composed in challenging situations, making it easier to stay true to your principles. Another key aspect of practicing patience is learning to let go of the need for control. Impatience often stems from a desire to control how and when things happen. But Stoicism reminds us that trying to control the uncontrollable only leads to frustration. By practicing patience, you learn to accept that some things are beyond your influence and that forcing outcomes is often counterproductive. This acceptance helps you release the stress and anxiety that come from trying to control every aspect of life, allowing you to focus on what you can influence, your own actions and responses. Patience also helps you cultivate a sense of gratitude for the present moment. When you are constantly rushing through life, you miss the beauty and richness of what is happening right now. Stoicism teaches that patience allows you to slow down and appreciate the present, rather than always striving for the next thing. This appreciation for the moment fosters a sense of contentment and peace, reducing the impatience that comes from always wanting more. By practicing patience, you learn to find joy in the process of life, rather than focusing solely on the destination. Another powerful aspect of patience is that it helps you develop emotional resilience. In life, things often don't go as planned, and impatience can lead to frustration or disappointment. But Stoicism teaches that patience allows you to endure setbacks with grace and remain emotionally stable, even in the face of challenges. This resilience helps you navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease, knowing that difficulties are temporary and that patience will see you through to the other side. This emotional strength is essential for maintaining peace in an unpredictable world. Patience also deepens your understanding of yourself. In moments of impatience, you often reveal your deepest desires, fears, and expectations. By practicing patience and reflecting on your moments of impatience, you gain insight into what drives your actions and emotions. This self-awareness allows you to address the root causes of your impatience, whether it's fear of failure, a need for control, or a desire for validation. By understanding these underlying motivations, you can work to cultivate a more patient and peaceful mindset. Another important lesson in Stoic patience is learning to be patient with yourself. In a world that demands constant achievement and perfection, it's easy to become impatient with your own progress. But Stoicism teaches that growth is a gradual process, and self-compassion is essential for developing patience. By practicing patience with yourself, you allow space for mistakes, setbacks, and learning without harsh self-criticism. This self-patience fosters a more balanced and resilient mindset, helping you stay committed to your goals without becoming discouraged by slow progress. Patience also helps you develop a more balanced perspective on life. Impatience often arises from a sense of urgency or the belief that things must happen quickly in order to be valuable. But Stoicism reminds us that life is a marathon, not a sprint. By practicing patience, you learn to see the bigger picture and understand that progress takes time. This perspective helps you remain calm and focused, even when things don't move as fast as you would like. By cultivating patience, you develop a long-term mindset that allows you to stay grounded and peaceful in the midst of life's fluctuations. Another benefit of practicing patience is that it enhances your ability to handle criticism and setbacks. When you are impatient, criticism can feel like a personal attack, and setbacks can seem like insurmountable obstacles. But Stoicism teaches that patience allows you to view these challenges with a calm and open mind. By practicing patience, you learn to accept criticism as an opportunity for growth and setbacks as part of the journey. This mindset helps you remain resilient in the face of adversity, knowing that patience will lead you through even the toughest challenges. Patience also fosters a deeper connection to nature. Stoicism teaches that nature moves at its own pace, and by observing the natural world, you can learn the value of patience. Whether it's the slow growth of a tree or the changing of the seasons, nature reminds us that everything has its own rhythm and timing. By practicing patience, you align yourself with this natural flow, reducing the frustration that comes from trying to rush through life. This connection to nature helps you cultivate a sense of peace and acceptance, knowing that everything unfolds in its own time. Another important aspect of practicing patience is learning to embrace uncertainty. In a world that often demands quick answers and immediate solutions, uncertainty can feel uncomfortable or even threatening. But Stoicism teaches that uncertainty is a natural part of life, and patience allows you to navigate it with grace. By practicing patience, you learn to trust the process and accept that not everything will be clear right away. This acceptance of uncertainty helps you remain calm and focused, even when the future is unclear, allowing you to make thoughtful decisions without rushing to conclusions. Patience also helps you build a sense of inner peace. When you are constantly striving for more or rushing through life, it's easy to feel restless or dissatisfied. But Stoicism teaches that patience allows you to find contentment in the present moment, rather than always seeking something more. By practicing patience, you develop a deeper sense of peace, knowing that everything will unfold in its own time. This inner peace helps you navigate life's challenges with greater ease, reducing the stress and anxiety that often come from impatience. Another powerful lesson in Stoic patience is learning to detach from the need for immediate results. In a world that often values speed and efficiency, it's easy to become impatient when things don't happen as quickly as you would like. But Stoicism teaches that true success comes from sustained effort over time, not from quick fixes. By practicing patience, you learn to focus on the process rather than the outcome, trusting that your efforts will bear fruit in the long run. This detachment from immediate results helps you stay committed to your goals, even when progress is slow. Patience also helps you develop greater self-control. Impatience often leads to impulsive decisions or actions, driven by a desire for immediate gratification. But Stoicism teaches that true self-mastery comes from the ability to delay gratification and remain calm in the face of temptation. By practicing patience, you strengthen your self-control, allowing you to make decisions that are aligned with your values and long-term goals. This self-control helps you stay focused and disciplined, even in a world full of distractions and temptations. In practicing patience, you also develop a greater appreciation for the journey of life. Impatience often arises from a desire to reach the destination as quickly as possible, but Stoicism teaches that the journey is just as important as the destination. By practicing patience, you learn to enjoy the process of growth and discovery, rather than rushing through it. This appreciation for the journey helps you find meaning and fulfillment in everyday experiences, reducing the impatience that comes from always striving for the next big thing. Another important benefit of practicing patience is that it helps you manage your expectations. Impatience often arises when reality doesn't align with your expectations, whether it's the timing of events, the behavior of others, or your own progress. But Stoicism teaches that patience allows you to adjust your expectations and accept things as they are, rather than as you wish them to be. This acceptance reduces the frustration and disappointment that often come from unmet expectations, allowing you to remain peaceful and centered, even in challenging situations. Patience also fosters a sense of trust in the process of life. In a world where outcomes are often uncertain, it's easy to become impatient or anxious when things don't happen as planned. But Stoicism teaches that patience allows you to trust that everything will unfold in its own time, and that your efforts will eventually lead to the desired results. This trust helps you remain calm and focused, even when progress seems slow or obstacles arise. By practicing patience, you cultivate a deep sense of faith in the natural flow of life, knowing that everything happens for a reason. In practicing patience, you also develop a greater sense of emotional balance. Impatience often leads to emotional highs and lows, driven by a desire for immediate results or gratification. But Stoicism teaches that patience allows you to remain emotionally steady, regardless of external circumstances. By practicing patience, you learn to stay calm and composed, even when things don't go as expected. This emotional balance helps you navigate life's challenges with greater ease, reducing the stress and anxiety that often come from impatience. Practicing patience helps you develop a sense of gratitude for the present moment. Impatience often arises from a desire to be somewhere else, whether it's achieving a goal, reaching a milestone, or experiencing a future event. But Stoicism teaches that patience allows you to appreciate the present moment for what it is, rather than always striving for something more. By practicing patience, you learn to find joy and contentment in the here and now, reducing the impatience that comes from always wanting more. This gratitude for the present moment fosters a deep sense of peace and fulfillment, helping you live with greater mindfulness and intention in an impatient world. Fear, when left unchecked, can become a prison, keeping you from reaching your full potential, limiting your growth, and holding you back from the life you deserve. Epictetus taught that the key to overcoming fear lies within you. By mastering the Stoic principles of detachment, self-reflection, and mental resilience, you can break free from the chains of fear. Whether it's the fear of failure, judgment, or uncertainty, remember, it's not the external circumstances that define you, but how you respond to them. Step into your power, embrace the unknown with courage, and let go of the fears that have no place in your future. Now, I want to hear from you. What fear are you ready to overcome, and how will you apply Stoic wisdom to break free? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read everyone and look forward to hearing your stories. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video on mastering your mind and living with purpose. Let's keep growing together.